a couple hours earlier, so we'll have some more sunlight for longer. And the first pitch of the game is ball one.
But it's beautiful. I mean, it really is. You look
It's
at the
really
flags
nice
out in center field. There's nothing. There's no breeze. Just beautiful.
65 degrees. Perfect weather for baseball. Here's the 1-0 to Micah McDowell. Rips it to right, and it hangs up and caught by the second baseman Haskins, and that's how the game starts. Well, thought that had a chance to maybe get over his head and into the outfield, but didn't get it on the sweet part of the bat, so.
Looked like it got in on him just a little bit.
Scott able to get McDowell to lead the game off, and now here's Travis Bazzana. 2 for 5 last night with a double. Broke out of a little 0 for 13 slump and takes strike one.
We talked about it yesterday. What we do know in this series, one of these two teams is going to leave tomorrow being 0-2 in their first two series of Pac-12 season.
Yeah, it's a big game, big series. Oregon State, if they lose tonight, would be 1-4 in conference play. As that one driven to right, Montgomery is back and on the warning track, has enough room. 2 away.
And all the pundits and the experts would have told you, hey, one of these two teams, if you said, hey, they're going to be 0-2 in their first two series of the Pac, they'd say you were crazy.
Well, these are two teams that finished 1-2 in the conference last year. Stanford winning it and then beating Oregon State in the title game in Scottsdale, 9-5. Cardinal was picked first in the preseason poll this year. Oregon State picked third. So yeah, these are two programs with big expectations going into the year as Mason Guerra steps in and takes a strike. Guerra homered last night, 2 for 4, hitting .350 on the season. 1-1.
Where he hit it, I think, was the most impressive. I mean, it was long gone.
He's got 2 home runs now on the season, 11 runs batted in. The sophomore DH. Trying to get something going in the first with 2 outs for the Beavers. Close pitch, 2-1.
Where was that?
Well, there's a good look at the freshman, Matt Scott.
Jeff Hendricks behind the dish, calling balls and strikes.
Scott, a freshman from Reading, Connecticut. 2-1 pitch. Hit hard. One hopper handled by Cobb. Low throw, and unable to pick it out was Graham, so that'll be an error. And it extends the inning.
That's one of those where you catch a ball and you know, okay, this is a piece of cake. And so I'm just going to try to aim it over to first base and the inning's over, instead of just fluidly catching it and throwing it like it's the second out of the inning. It happens a lot, not at just this level, it's at every level. It's the easy one, right? I caught it, he's out by 50 feet, so let me aim it. And then you throw it in the dirt.
6th error of the season for Owen Cobb as Garrett Forrester promptly bangs one into center field. 2 on, 2 out as the Beavers a little 2-out rally going now. And that will bring up the hero of last night for Oregon State's lineup, Ruben Cedillo.
It's a big hit for Forrester. I talked to their hitting coach, the Beavers hitting coach Ryan Gibson, at the cage, and Forrester was actually hitting. And I said, you know, there are big expectations for Forrester this year. And he said, yeah. And what happens, not just for this youngster, Forrester, but many juniors across the country, this is their quote-unquote draft year, right?
Right.
And he thought he was maybe putting a little bit more pressure on himself than he should have, and that's a big hit to start a game for Forrester.
There's a strike to Cedillo, 0-1. Cedillo, the 2 home runs yesterday, including a grand slam, 5 runs batted in. Went 2 for 5, hitting .234 on the year. And a chance to give the Beavers the early lead today. Fouls that one off, and it's 0-2. Cedillo, a sophomore from Independence, Oregon. Went to Central High School, then went to Lynn Benton Community College before joining the Beavers. Had a great year last year at Lynn Benton. Hit .297 with 27 stolen bases, so you know he's got good speed. 0-2 pitch. Fouled off, and that'll get out of play. So this is a big spot for the freshman on the mound. Thought he had a 1-2-3 inning. You get the error with 2 outs, then a base hit, and now he's trying to get out of a little bit of a jam here. See if he can pick up his shortstop. Hit hard, but right at the second baseman, Haskins, and that will end the inning. Beavers leave a pair in the first. We'll head to the bottom half. Oregon State nothing. Stanford coming up. No score as we head to the bottom of the first. It's Sunken Diamond, number 9 Stanford and Oregon State in game 2 of this 3-game series. The Cardinal coming off the 9-8 win in game 1 last night. Let's take a look at Stanford's starting lineup today in game 2. It's the same leadoff man, Eddie Park, who we talked about in the open, had a big night with the grand slam yesterday. Tommy Troy hit second, Carter Graham third, and Braden Montgomery, who also homered yesterday, bats in the cleanup spot. Malcolm Moore, the freshman catcher, fifth. Drew Bowser, sixth. Alberto Rios, Trevor Haskins, and Owen Cobb, 7, 8, 9 for David Esker's team. And they'll be facing the sophomore right-hander from Oregon State, Jacob Kamatz, making his 5th appearance of the season. All starts 1-2 with 3.43 ERA. You see the 18 strikeouts in 21 innings of work.
Well, he's lost his last 2 starts at Cal Poly a couple weeks ago, and then, of course, versus Washington State at home and last weekend.
Here's Eddie Park leading the game off. Takes ball 1.
He was tremendous last year. 15 starts, 8-2 as a freshman.
That catches the corner for strike 1. Yeah, he was a freshman All-American last year, Kamatz was. As you take a look at Park, who had the big game last night, 2 for 4 with that grand slam that broke the game open for the Cardinal in the 6th inning. They ended up holding on to win by 1. Tough play here. Kamatz fields it and takes it to the bag himself. Nicely done.
That is absolutely sensational and beautiful PFP. And what's PFP? Pitcher's fielding practice.
Every pitcher's favorite thing in spring training.
This is just instincts here, folks. A lot of times you'll see this same play where the pitcher is looking for the first baseman, and the first baseman's going for this ball, and this is just tremendous by Jacob, just to keep going to the bag and get the out.
So a nice play by Kamatz to get the first out, and now here's Tommy Troy, the All-American. Back in the lineup yesterday after missing a few games. Got hit by a pitch against Cal State Bakersfield a while back. Takes a strike. Good breaking ball in there, 0-2. Troy hitting .400 on the year. 2 home runs, 10 RBIs. Playing in his 11th game. Went 1 for 4 last night with an RBI. And fouls it back.
And if you fans are wondering, is Tommy Troy wearing a World Wrestling Association band championship belt? No. That is where they're going to figure out their signs. That's how they relay from the dugout what sign is on. Good slider there on the outside part.
Called strike 3, and Kamatz makes quick work of Tommy Troy for out number 2.
Tommy turns around and looked at home plate umpire Jeff Hendricks. He's like, "What are you doing there?" We'll get a look at it here. It's a real good slider on the outside part. Does it get part of the plate?
Ooh, I don't know. Might have been a swing anyway. It looked close. They didn't end up having to go down to first base to check. And it's the first strikeout tonight for Kamatz. Carter Graham swings at the first pitch, sends it out to right center. Running catch by McDowell, and that ends the inning. 1-2-3. Cardinal go down quickly and quietly. And a good start for our 2 pitchers tonight. No score after 1. Good look at Sunken Diamond here at Stanford. The Cardinal and Oregon State scoreless, heading to the top of the second. Game 2 of a 3-game series on the Pac-12 Network. Ben Ross, Wes Clements with you in the booth. Hope you're enjoying your weekend so far. We got March Madness going on. We got some March Madness here at Klein Field, at least last night with the 9-8 win for the Cardinal. Dueling grand slams in last night's game.
Yeah, we'll just tell you, by the way, just keep it tuned to the Pac-12 Network. Kansas lost, second number 1 seed, so that's done.
Your bracket's done. Might as well
and Princeton,
turn to baseball.
Who beat my Cats, are advancing again. So nothing to see. Just keep it tuned right here.
UCLA now carrying the mantle for the Pac-12. They look good in their first round game. They'll play their second round game tonight.
Mick Cronin, unbelievable coach. I love him.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job. Mikey Kane leading off here in the second for Oregon State. That evens the count 1-1. Kane, a sophomore, hitting .333 on the year. 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Went 2 for 4 in game 1 last night. Here's the 1-1. Outside. So it'll be the 6, 7, 8 hitters coming up for the Beavers. Kane, Brady Casper, and Tanner Smith. Going against Matt Scott, freshman right-hander for the Cardinal. Both pitchers starting the game sharp. That catches the corner 2-2.
As I mentioned yesterday, I think this series is much more important for Oregon State, mainly because, not that they can't come back, and obviously, a 30-game season, they can't come back, and that's strike 3 on that slider down.
That was
a
nasty pitch.
It was. But the RPI formula, it favors teams that win games on the road. And if Oregon State can come back and just salvage a game, I mean, they can't get swept. Doesn't mean that they can't turn it around, because Beaver fans, trust me, I understand you guys are real good. But obviously you don't want to get swept on the road against Stanford. But the RPI formula is so favored and biased towards when you win games on the road that this is a big one for Oregon State.
This becomes a big game, in particular after losing last night. Like you said, you don't want it to drop the first 2 and then need to win tomorrow to avoid the sweep. But it'll be tough. The Cardinal, we know all about them, ranked number 9 in the nation. As Brady Casper gets his first at bat of the series, and he takes ball 2, 2-0. So Scott making just his second start of the year. It's his 6th appearance overall. And his ERA now down to 2.25. 2-0 pitch is fouled out of play.
3 games going on in the Pac-12. Up at Oregon is leading 9-7 in Pullman over Washington State. Washington State started that game with a 4-run lead. This is a big win for Oregon if they can come back and hold on to that lead. And Cal Bears. Ben, you're familiar with Cal.
I believe got their first conference win today.
Extra innings. They took care of USC, broke their mini 3-game win streak, 8-7 in extra innings. The Sun Devils, the team up in Tempe, I think that's what they're called.
Your rival.
Yeah, they're leading in top of the 6, 9-5 over Utah. Arizona lost at UCLA, 7-5.
So 2 good teams. 2-2 pitch is popped up on the infield. Graham calls for it and makes the catch, 2 away.
Yeah, the Bruins are, as always, a team that you're going to have to go through if you want to win the Pac-12. I mean, Chip Hale has done a tremendous job taking over at Arizona for Jay Johnson, who is now at LSU and the number 1 team in the country.
That's
right. But that said, Arizona came into Jackie Robinson Stadium in Westwood with a 9-game winning streak. And just like that, they lost 2.
It's a deep conference again this year, the Pac-12. As Tanner Smith takes a strike.
And then the only non-conference game, Washington took care of Rhode Island, 12-6.
Second straight day. And you look at this Pac-12, obviously early in conference play, but there's a lot of competition at the top of the conference. Arizona, Washington State off to a good start. UCLA we talked about. USC and Washington, and obviously Stanford at 2-2. The defending champion. The key for the Cardinal will be, can they get their pitching in order? They've been hitting the ball just fine, as that misses high 1-2.
They have, but there's no gimmies. There's no gimme series.
No, there aren't.
And, there used to be there was a time in the Pac-12 where you would expect to win the series against Wazoo, against Washington State. Not the case anymore. Brian Green has done a tremendous job up there.
Swing and a miss. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Matt Scott and a 1-2-3 second. Through 1.5 from Stanford. No score. Welcome back to Stanford. No score as we head to the bottom of the second inning. The 4, 5, and 6 hitters coming up for the Cardinal. Braden Montgomery, Malcolm Mora, and Drew Bowser to face the sophomore right-hander Jacob Komatz. And Braden Montgomery, well, he didn't waste any time last night. His first at bat, first pitch that he saw, and he smacked his 6th home run of the season to dead center field. The talented sophomore now hitting .418 on the year with those 6 home runs and 14 RBIs.
He is on every scout's top board as far as projections.
Look at the numbers in his last 11 games. You think he's red hot?
Yeah, well, he is obviously a tremendous athlete.
Didn't waste any time tonight either, but grounds it to second. Vazana makes the throw to first.
But his skill set is just off the charts. I mean, he has a tremendous arm. He can run, and we've seen his power. I know for a fact that he has 2 home runs to dead central. He hit one in Goodwin Field, the first series of the year against Cal State Fullerton, the dead central through the wind. And then last night, as you mentioned, same thing, dead central.
He keeps swinging at the first pitch. He doesn't want to give us time to talk about him.
Well,
talk him up.
Well, we got enough in. I mean, and I will tell you, I love when a youngster comes up, gets in the box, ready to swing.
Well, speaking of a talented youngster, here's Malcolm Moore, the freshman catcher, who takes a strike.
I love this kid. I keep bringing up the first series at Cal State Fullerton, right? But I sat over there with some really good baseball. But I said to myself, who is this? So I looked at the roster, and it's a freshman, right? Just happens to be the most sought-after freshman catcher in the country.
Yeah, the #1 catching prospect coming out of high school from Sacramento, C.K. McClatchy High School. 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year in California.
I'm so glad you had to pronounce that high school.
I hope I got it right.
Well, I'm not trying.
1-2. Moore hitting .333, 5 homers, 15 RBIs. Went 1 for 3 last night with a run scored. Here's the 1-2. Just outside. Boy, that's a tough take. Pretty good 1-2 pitch from Komatz.
Well, it's a good job by home plate umpire Jeff Hendricks. Tanner Smith is sitting up about a foot outside, and he split him, meaning he threw right down the middle. It's a good changeup right there.
Boy, he has been sharp early on. Jacob Komatz, his 2nd strikeout. He's retired the first 5.
That's a real good changeup. What's a good changeup? Fastball arm action, changeup speed, and that's just beautiful right there.
Bottom just drops
out of it. And you can see right there where Tanner Smith, ideally, when your pitcher's throwing a changeup, if you're a catcher, you want to sit up down the middle. Doesn't make any sense to sit up on corners when your changeup is thrown, because you want it, the reason you set up down the middle is because you want to give it the opportunity to sink on both sides of the plate and still get that strike.
Drew Bowser steps in. This one popped up behind first base. Tough play for Forrester in foul territory, and he couldn't quite hang on. Slaps his glove in frustration. He was there, and he had his glove on it. He just couldn't squeeze it.
We're going to take a look at this. I'm not sure. I saw what I thought I saw, but it looks like Forrester is tapping his leg with his glove on the run down there. See a little snow cone.
So a second chance for Drew Bowser. 1-1 the count. That's a tough play when you have to go over your shoulder like that. Ripped to short, right at Dernetti. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Jacob Kamatz. He's retired the first 6 Cardinal in order. We're through 2, no score. Top of the 3rd inning at Klein Field at Sunken Diamond. Ben Ross, Wes Clements with you, no score between the 9th-ranked Stanford Cardinal and the Oregon State Beavers. It'll be the 9-1 and 2 hitters coming up for Oregon State. Kyle Dernetti, you see there, ready to lead off, followed by Micah McDowell and Travis Bazzana to face Matt Scott, the freshman for Stanford. Just 1 hit allowed through his 2 innings to this point, couple of strikeouts. Both pitchers have been sharp early on here, Wes.
They have, and after last night, 9-7, or 9-8, I should say. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for both of these sides.
Yeah, both managers, both head coaches looking for good starts.
Well, in game 1, ideally, both head coaches, you don't want to get into your bullpen too much. And it looked like it wasn't going to happen through 5 innings yesterday. And then just like that, both bullpens, the door was open a lot.
1-1 to Dernetti. Well, both starters yesterday did end up going 5 1/3, which is not, I'd say, neither great nor terrible.
It's better
solid.
than major leagues.
Yeah, exactly. 1-1. Fly ball, long run for Park. Into the gap, still on the run. Makes the sliding catch. Nice play by Eddie Park, showing his range.
I love this kid in center field. I mean, we've talked about Braden Montgomery in right field, and rightly so, but Eddie Park is growing and getting moved up on the draft list by draft MLB scouts. He can run, but he's got some power. We saw it yesterday, and he's a junior this year, and he's a guy that's, again, we've talked about Braden Montgomery in right field, and sometimes you can get forgotten, right? I mean,
absolutely.
When you have a talent like Montgomery, but Eddie Park moving up on the boards.
Eddie Park, remember last year, won the most outstanding player in the Stanford Regional. Preseason All Pac-12 pick this year, one of 8 for the Cardinal, most in the conference. As the leadoff hitter, Micah McDowell, with his second at bat of the night, sends it down the left field line, and that's curling foul. 1-1. McDowell lined out to second his first time up, hitting .373 for the season, a home run, 8 runs batted in. Just 1 hit in this game so far, that belonging to Garrett Forrester of the Beavers. Chopped up the middle, tough play for Cobb, bounces it over, got him! What a play by Owen Cobb. We're seeing some defense this inning from the Cardinal.
That's just beautiful. I mean, an infielder, they have their clock in their mind, that they know who's running, how quickly they have to get rid of the ball. And Owen Cobb, watch how quickly he gets rid of this ball, because he knows the only way Stanford has a chance to get this runner at first is to catch and let it go. And that's exactly what he did. And he got some help on the back end from Carter Graham with a good pick at first.
Range a long way to the other side of second base, making up for his error in that first inning. As Travis Bazzana takes a strike. Cardinal defensively putting the shift on Bazzana. Cobb, the shortstop, again on the second base, or the right field side of second base, as they're playing Bazzana to pull. Shows bunt, lays it down, but foul, and it's 0-2. So not a bad idea, right, Wes, when you see the shift against you and only one guy on the left side of the infield.
Well, it's a great idea. With 2 outs, Bazzana can run.
He lined out as well in the first.
The problem when you're bunting, and you're bunting for a hit, the biggest mistake hitters always make is they try to get out of the box before they bunt it. The most important thing when you bunt, doesn't matter if it's a sacrifice bunt and or a bunt for a base hit, is location. You get the ball where you want it, you'll be safe.
0-2 pitch, high and away.
So you just take your time, you stay in the box, bunt the ball where you want to bunt it, and go to first.
Bazzana, first team all-conference last year. And a freshman All-American. Sophomore from Sydney, Australia, hitting .344 on the season. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Matt Scott. And we've got some good pitching and defense early in this one. No score as we head to the bottom of the third. We've got some Oregon State fans in the house this evening. Good crowd, good showing from both sides.
Beaver fans travel so good everywhere in the Pac-12.
Absolutely.
You see this orange.
We're going to the bottom of the third. Number 9, Stanford and Oregon State scoreless. Beavers trying to even this series in a game apiece after the Cardinal won last night 9-8. And it'll be the 7-8-9 hitters for Stanford. Alberto Rios, Trevor Haskins, and Owen Cobb trying to solve Jacob Komatz, who has retired the first 6 Cardinal batters tonight. Well, Alberto Rios, not your usual 7-hitter. He's tied for the Pac-12 lead with 24 RBIs this year, hitting .356 and 4 home runs.
Well, I will tell you, after you see the good slider on the outside part for strike one, we talked about him yesterday, Rios, what he did the week previous. Drove in 17 runs, 11 in one game.
That's right. The 11 tied a Pac-12 record.
All he did yesterday was just drove in one, you know.
Yeah, well, everyone has bad games, right? Went 1 for 4 yesterday with an RBI single. Yeah, the 11 RBIs rather came in a game against Cal State Bakersfield. Stanford record tied the Pac-12 record. And the 0-2 pitch just outside.
But you see Tanner Smith with 2 strikes, and you saw some animation there from Matt's on the mound. Komatz on the mound, but Tanner Smith is sitting up a foot outside.
Here's the 1-2. Outside again.
We talked about catchers yanking, and we see it in the big leagues now, and it's working, and it's unfortunate that it's working, and I'll tell you why. Because when catchers are able to yank pitches, yank meaning where they initially catch it and then pull it into the strike zone.
Long run in center field for McDowell. He's not going to get there. First hit of the night for Stanford. It's a leadoff double for Alberto Rios.
It's a really good job by Rios to hang and breaking ball. Doesn't try to pull it. Finds the right center gap, and just like that, the Cardinal with a runner at second and no outs. This is a great situation. In a game like this, we talked about it. 9-8 last night. A lot of runs scored. Sometimes, baseball's a funny game. Sometimes you show up the next day and 1 run can win a game.
Absolutely. Every game, every day is a new story.
This is just a tremendous opportunity for the Cardinal. You got a runner at second and no outs. Your 8-hole hitter and Haskin is up. I would expect a bunt.
He's showing it early. Tries to get it down, but fouls it off.
And again, we talked about bunting, right? Location. All you got to do is bunt the ball where you want to get it to in the area. And this situation right now with a runner at second, ideally you want to bunt the ball to the right side and make Forrester come in and field it.
It's interesting. The Stanford team only has 1 sacrifice bunt on the year. As that one gets down, throw goes to third. No, he fakes to third, throws to first. Sorry, I got faked out, and the sacrifice works.
Well, it's a good job by Forrester. He crashed, and obviously with Haskins showing bunt early, Forrester can leave early from first base, and he got into the ball very quick. It looked like Ben said, he thought that's your double by Rios to right center. But the Forrester made a good decision right there. He thought about going to third and said, nope, I'll take the out. Runner at third in less than 2. The Beavers playing the infield in.
And Kyle Dernetti swings through the first pitch. So that is the second sacrifice now for Stanford as they look to take the lead here. And you're right, interesting. You see the Beavers playing the infield in just in the 3rd inning. A 1 pitch to Dernetti, 1-1. Well, I guess the idea here is you've got the number 9 hitter at the plate. I don't know why I'm saying Dernetti when it's Owen Cobb. But you've got the number 9 hitter at the plate, and 1 out already in the inning.
Well, he's hitting 313. I mean, this is just Oregon State rolling the dice.
Here's the 1-1.
Because, as you know, I mean, when you play the infield in, it opens up holes, right? Opens up holes between the 5-6 hole and your 3-4 hole between your second baseman and first baseman.
Right now, leaving a big hole up the middle. See if Cobb can drive in the run. Here's the 2-1. 3-1. And
now
the leadoff man, Eddie Park, on deck.
Yeah, now you have a problem. 3-1, you got to, as you mentioned, Eddie Park is on deck. This should be a fastball. And if you're Cobb right now, you're just thinking right center. Anytime you have a runner at third and less than 2 and you're a right-hand hitter, think the other way.
Big pitch. 3-1. And it's ball 4. So the Cardinal now runners on the corners, and they turn the lineup over for Eddie Park.
Well, this is actually what Eddie Park did yesterday with the bases loaded. Trust me, Eddie Park with the bases loaded hit a fastball about 6 inches inside, out of the yard.
Over the right field wall.
For a grand slam.
First grand slam of the season for Stanford. They've got 27 home runs as a team this year, most in the Pac-12. And now Park, a chance to put the Cardinal in front. Strike 1. Park 0 for 1 tonight. Hitting .297 on the year, 2 home runs, 17 RBIs. 4 of them coming on 1 swing of the bat in game 1 last night. Good pitch, 0-2. So obviously if you're Kmatz here, you would love a strikeout with that runner on third and less than 2 outs. He is ahead in the count now and can maybe try and get Park to chase.
Well, one thing that Eddie Park does better than most in the Pac-12 is makes contact.
0-2 pitch, fouled off.
It's a good job right there. And you see that's just flat out protection. That's a ball, and it's up. But you can see that Eddie Park right now is just thinking about making contact. He waited a long time on that fastball, and he fouled it off over the bullpen by the Beavers.
Well, to your point, he's only struck out 9 times this year in 74 at-bats. Trying to drive in this run, put the Cardinal in front. Throw to first, and Cobb dives back. Cobb has stolen 2 bases this year in 3 attempts. Infield defense at double play depth. Park runs well. He's a tough guy to double up. Here's the 0-2. Line drive, base hit. And that'll put the Cardinal in front. Heading around second to third is Cobb. Trying to go to second is Park. And he's thrown out. But the run scores, and it's 1-0 Stanford.
Well, it's a great job by Rios. He's the runner at first base, and the minute this ball is hit, and again, if you're a base runner, you check your outfielders where they're at. He knew once this ball was hit that he could get over to third. Now, that's great base running. Now you got Eddie Park on the other side that doesn't pick up the ball, right? And he runs into an out. Otherwise, the Cardinal had first and third and 1 out.
Tommy Troy, the batter, now with 2 away, and he fouls the first pitch out of play. Yeah, that's a situation where you don't want to make an out on the base paths. Like you said, if you are content with the single, you have another great RBI opportunity with first and third and 1 out. Still a chance to add on here for the Cardinal, though. Troy, dangerous hitter at the plate. Struck out in the first inning. Able to lay off that 1-1. Troy hitting .390 on the year. Preseason All-American on the Golden Spikes watch list. Junior from Los Gatos High School. Check swing and look out in the Stanford dugout. I think everyone was able to get out of the way. 1-2.
You know, they always laugh, right? You got a dart. I mean, it's coming over there about 100 miles an hour. And as long as it doesn't hit anybody, it's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be the first one to hit the deck. I'd be ducking behind the netting before the pitch even came. Here's the 1-2. Fly ball right field. Casper drifting back at the wall and makes the catch. And that ends the inning. So Troy gave it a ride, but it stayed in the yard. The Cardinals score 1, and then at the end of 3, Stanford leading Oregon State 1-0. Part of the order coming up for Oregon State as we head to the top of the 4th inning. Mason Guerra, Garrett Forrester, and Ruben Cedillo as the Beavers look to even this game or take the lead. Good look at some of the Oregon State fans in attendance today at Sunken Diamond. Beavers coming in at 12-6 on the season, but just 1-3 to start Pac-12 play. Trying to even this series after the Cardinal took a wild one last night, 9-8.
Well, you know, we talked about how the Beaver fans travel, right? They travel great, tremendous. But then when you think about what's the weather like in Corvallis, I mean, if it's 58 here, it's sundown weather, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point. We had nice weather last night. Got cold after dark. As nice pitch in there from Scott. Strike 1 to Guerra.
First opportunity we have today for a shutdown inning. What's a shutdown inning? Well, when your team scores a run and you're a pitcher, your job is to come out and get the opponent the next inning with no runs.
That's going to be an infield single. Cobb was able to knock it down, but Guerra is aboard for the second time today. Reached on an error in the first, and now a base hit, and a good start to the inning for the Beavers.
It's a good job by Owen Cobb just to get to this ball and knock it down. I don't think he had a chance to get Guerra at first base, even if he catches it. You get a look at Guerra. Watch, I'm smelling a hit. You're not going to get me.
That ball was hit so hard that, you're right, it was a nice play by Cobb just to get his glove on it, keep it on the infield. So the batter is Garrett Forrester, who singled his first time up. Leadoff runner aboard for the first time today for the Beavers. And that's a strike. Forrester has his average up to .328, couple of home runs, 11 runs batted in. First team all Pac-12 last year. He was the Pac-12 tourney MVP, despite Oregon State coming up short against Stanford.
Well, he started as a freshman.
That was called a swing by first base umpire Jake Uhlenhoff, and so it's 0-2.
It's Mitch Canham's first year, and Forrester started at first base for the Beavers, and as you mentioned, you could tell as a freshman he was going to be somebody who had a great career in front of him. And
1-2. Yeah, Forrester now in his junior season out of Bella Vista High School from Fair Oaks, California.
Ryan Gibson, his hitting coach, I talked to him prior to the game at the cage, and he said he believes that this youngster has the best eye in college baseball when he hits.
Shows it right there, 2-2. And to that point, Forrester is tied for second in the Pac-12 with 17 walks this year. Led the conference last year with 64.
Well, the Beavers lead the conference at the most walks and the most strikeouts.
That's right.
And we talked about it.
It's a
last
rare
night.
combination.
It's a very odd combination.
2-2. Popped up high in the air behind second base. Haskins goes out, and now Park comes in and calls him off.
Great job. I mean, it's just great fundamental baseball. You got Haskins is going to go for this ball until he is called off. And his intention was the entire time to catch this ball, and then Eddie Park came in and said, "Get out of the way, kid. I got it." And that's just great fundamental baseball.
Easier play coming in than going out. So that's the first out of the inning, and now here's Ruben Cedillo. Lined out to second in the first inning. Hitting just .229 on the year, but coming off a huge game last night with the 2 home runs, including a grand slam. So he's got to have a lot of confidence right now at the plate. Big swing and a miss.
It's a good changeup right there.
Cedillo, the sophomore from Independence, Oregon. This Oregon State team made it to the Super Regional last year before losing to Auburn. Runner goes, swing and a foul. And it looked like might have been a hit and run, but Guerra had a pretty good jump. I think he would have made it.
Well, I don't know if it was a hit and run. Ideally, you would think that Cedillo wouldn't have a hit and run. But the way that Cedillo went at this pitch, to me, it didn't look like he was trying to hit the ball on the ground anywhere or the other way. Just looked like it was a run and hit.
So the count now 0-2. Guerra does have 1 stolen base this year. And a foul.
You do not want to throw a pitch 0-2 to Cedillo up there.
He certainly showed that he's got some pop in his bat last night. He hit 2 home runs. Oregon State as a team hit 3. Mason Guerra had the other. We saw 5 home runs combined in last night's game, and as we were talking about last night, Wes, when it gets dark, it gets cold here, it's tough. The ball doesn't carry that well, but we saw a lot of long balls. Grounder in the hole. Cobb, tough throw across the diamond and scooped out by Graham. Wow, what a play.
Well, Owen Cobb is laying out some leather today, folks. Again, instincts. Prior to that ball being hit, Cobb has got to know who's at the plate, who's running. Cedillo obviously can run a little bit. He catches his ball again. Catch, throw, helped on the backside by Graham at first, but just another tremendous play by Owen Cobb.
We have seen him show off his range, both directions. He went to his left the first time. That time he went to his right. Just a terrific play for the second out. First pitch fouled off by Mikey Kane. So still an opportunity with a runner in scoring position now for the Beavers, looking for a 2-out hit to even this game. Kane struck out his first time up, hitting .328 on the year.
Good changeup right there. Well, Cardinal fans are used to seeing some great shortstop play, and not too long ago, somebody named Nico Horner played shortstop for the Cardinal. He's with the Cubs now, and he was absolutely sensational.
Certainly was. Here's the 1-1 to Kane. 2-1. Mikey Kane, sophomore from La Cañada in Southern California.
It's not La Canada?
It's not La Canada. Well, you can call it that if you want.
No.
Was first team all-conference at College of the Canyons last year.
COC.
Hit .318 as he fouls that one at the plate.
That program has been tremendous, speaking of College of Canyons, since, the 70s. I wasn't born then, by the way. Just saying. I just read.
You keep yourself educated.
That's all. I just read.
2-2 on Kane.
All right, I was born.
Guerra leading off second. And now 3-2. Brady Casper would hit next. One to nothing, Stanford, top of the 4th inning. 2 out. Beavers looking to even this one up. Here's the payoff pitch. Curveball got him looking. Nice pitch from Matt Scott, his 4th strikeout of the night. And the Beavers strand a man at second. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th, still 1-0 Cardinal. Bottom of the fourth inning at Stanford. Nice night for baseball. Nice night for a game of catch. Cardinal leading 1-0.
At least you didn't say have a catch.
That's right.
Speaking of catching, how about the play that...
Look at Owen Cobb. Look at that range.
Well, it's just instincts, a great job. You got to have an outfielder, and Cedillo hits his ball so Cedillo can run, and Owen catches, throws, gets picked up on the backside by Carter Graham over at first base, but he has laid out some leather, speaking of Owen Cobb today.
He's made a couple of great plays at shortstop. 3, 4, 5 hitters coming up. Carter Graham leading off, takes ball 1. Graham's struggling to start this season, hitting 197. He is on a 6-game hitting streak. And he's a guy that, when he gets going, look out.
It's a good change up there, but it tells you the confidence that David Esker has in Carter, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting a .197. He's in the 3-hole.
Well, we know what he did last year when he hit 22 home runs to lead the Pac-12. Hit .331. Chased that one, 1 and 2. He was an All-American last year. He also had 79 RBIs, which were second most in the conference. So again, you know that he's a guy who can really carry an offense when he's at his best. Hit that one hard, and it's a base hit.
Sometimes you just shake your head, right? And the reason I'm saying that, the first 2 pitches were off-speed pitches, and Carter, quite frankly, didn't look that well at all. Didn't look like he had any timing on it at all. He gets a 2-strike fastball right down the middle, right down Broadway. And, you know, we talked about a .197 Carter was hitting. It's things like this and at-bats like this that can turn a hitter around instantly.
That extends his hitting streak to 7 games in a row now, so perhaps signs of breaking out of that slump, and welcome news for the Cardinal. Braden Montgomery takes ball 1. Montgomery grounded out in the 2nd inning, still hitting .411 on the season. Came in with the 2nd best batting average in the Pac-12. Opposite field, fly ball deep left. Cedillo back, leaps, it's gone! Braden Montgomery with his 2nd home run in as many nights, and it's 3-0 Cardinal.
You're running out of superlatives, right? When you look at this youngster, I mean, we saw him leave the yard to dead central last night, and this is not a bad pitch. It's on the outside part, but what Montgomery does when he hits, he doesn't try to pull the ball, he just hits the ball. And this ball is on the outside part and leaves the yard to almost dead left.
Incredible.
An incredible talent. And then you go back to Carter Graham's at bat, right? 0-2.
Right. You had him, and exactly right. You had him looking bad. Made the mistake with 2 strikes. Single, home run, just like that, 3-0. That's the 7th home run of the year for Braden Montgomery. He had 18 last year as a freshman, which was a Stanford freshman record. One and 1 to Malcolm Moore. Moore struck out his first time up, batting .328. The freshman from Sacramento, 5 home runs on the season. That one looped toward right and off the glove of Bazana into right field. I think they'll call that a hit. But still no one out, and the Cardinal starting to string together some good at-bats.
Well, you know, we've talked about Montgomery and his talents. But what's very, very interesting is David Esker puts a freshman Moore behind Montgomery, right?
Right.
Now, conventional wisdom would say, hey, let's put Tommy Troy behind him or Carter Graham behind him, protect, right? Well, that's the confidence that he has in this freshman Moore, and Moore has been tremendous this year with the bat. I mean, what a luxury to have. But I will tell you this, I'm just foreseeing the future, right? We expect Stanford to be in the postseason. You will see times, in my opinion, that Montgomery will be put on base in a late in innings, with somebody in front of him at first. That's how good he is.
It would be hard to fault teams for doing that at this point with the way he's swinging the bat.
Now, Buck Showalter, what did he do? Walk Barry Bonds with the bases loaded?
With the bases loaded, yeah.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but at that time when Barry...
he was next level. 0-1 pitch to Drew Bowser, and they're going to say he went around. Home plate umpire Jeff Hendricks makes the call himself. 0-2.
And if you're wondering, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer prior to any of the nonsense that went on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his whole career, regardless of... I remember watching him when he was in Pittsburgh. That guy
he was the best
was a phenomenal hitter. Swing and a miss. And that's a big out for Jacob Komatz. He needed that one. His third strikeout of the game. And someone just got thrown out. Was it Bowser? Wow.
What did he do?
Drew Bowser just got thrown out of the game.
Well, I tell you what.
He obviously didn't react well. I'm not sure. He's a little bit befuddled himself right now. It was a swinging strike, and so you almost wonder if maybe he was upset with himself. But Jeff Hendricks threw him out of the game.
I got to tell you, Jeff Hendricks is a tremendous umpire, and he's been in a lot of postseason games. But to your point, is that Bowser swung and missed at this pitch. So it's not a called strike 3. But my guess is that he might have used an adjective, angry at himself. But...
Or could it have been something maybe earlier in the at-bat? I mean, who knows what they're saying up there.
It looks like David Esker has made and convinced Hendricks to ask his crew, is Esker making a valid point as to why he got ejected? Because Jeff Hendricks, and you know what? I will tell you this. If they reverse this, I mean, good for Jeff Hendricks. I'm not saying, I don't know what was said.
Well, they're at least talking it over. Yeah, let's see if we can see anything on the replay here.
Can you read lips?
I kind of looked down after the pitch.
I mean, Vince Scully could use to read lips.
Let's see if he did anything at the plate.
Swing. Take a look. Walking. Oh, I think
did he maybe say something?
No, he's
back
looking
to
out. This is what's happening. This has to do with nothing with what he said to Jeff Hendricks. This has to do with Bowser looking out to somebody for the Beavers, whether it be a gesture.
Now you wonder, did he say anything as he was looking out maybe at Komatz, or was it just the stare down? Well, either way, Drew Bowser has been ejected from this game. So that's an interesting development here in the fourth. And Alberto Rios is the batter. Rios doubled his first time up, came around to score. That was last inning. Hitting .367 on the year. 4 home runs, a Pac-12 leading 24 RBIs. And that gets away. Wild pitch, Moore takes second. And a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
There's really nothing that Tanner Smith can do, or any catcher, on a fastball that's spiked, and spiked meaning thrown in the dirt.
And now we're going to get a visit out of the Oregon State dugout as pitching coach Rich Dorman will go and chat with his sophomore right-hander. So Komatz was rolling for the first couple of innings, retired the Cardinal in order in both the first and the second. He gave up a run in the third, giving up 2 here in the fourth, and trying to limit the damage now and keep the Beavers as close as possible. I was still thinking about that ejection from Bowser and just wondering.
Well, umpires this year have been much more strict on what they're going to allow in the field.
Right.
And the chirping.
And again, we're not down there, so we can't hear.
No, we don't know what
all
was
we can
said.
do is look from up here in the booth and make our best estimate. But that was unexpected, I think.
I mean, there were some early ejections in the year in the first couple of weeks, just literally by doing a high five and how it was done.
2-0 to Rios. 3-0.
But Bowser, the way he reacted, it looked sincere. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't say anything, I didn't do anything. But when you strike out and you're looking out at the opposition on the field, it can be misinterpreted.
Ball 4.
Goodness gracious, where was that pitch?
So the Cardinal with 2 on and 1 out. And the batter will be Trevor Haskins. Well, the Cardinal put up 6 in the 6th inning last night to blow it open. They're looking for another similar type of inning here. They've already scored 2 runs in the 4th rather, and threatening for more. Haskins sacrificed his first time up tonight. Fouls the first pitch away.
Well, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, with Sellers on the mound for Oregon State and how great he has been about the bullpen, right? When do you get somebody up? Well, right now, the Beavers have somebody up. It's 3-0 right now. There's 1 out.
Ground ball, just foul. And it's 0-2.
But a couple hits, and all of a sudden, you might be chasing 5 runs if you're the Beavers.
Ian Lawson, junior right-hander, warming up. You're right. I mean, this is a huge time in this game. If you're Oregon State, you got to keep it at 3, especially with.
Well, you got 8, 9, and 1 right now. There's 1 out, 0-2 count.
Here's the pitch. Tipped into the glove for strike 3.
It's a fastball up and out of the zone for out 2, but you don't want to turn this lineup over and get to Eddie Park in this inning.
4th strikeout for Jacob Kamatz. And that brings up Owen Cobb. Cobb walked his first time up tonight in the 3rd inning. Batting .313, 2 home runs, 13 runs batted in, and a couple of great defensive plays at shortstop. Senior from Seattle. Looking to add to this 3-0 lead for the Cardinal. Tried to lay down a bunt and fouled back, handled by Henricks, the home plate umpire.
And that's that, people will say, hey, what are we doing with 2 outs and we're bunting, right? And conventional wisdom, you would say, hey, you want to knock the runner in. College ball is a little bit different, and I'll tell you why. Mr. Eddie Park is on deck, right? He's been hot. He's a great player anyway. But if you can get on base and flip it over to Eddie Park with the bases loaded with 2 outs, that's a pretty good situation.
Fouled away, 0-2. So Kamatz 1 strike away from getting out of this inning, allowing just the 2 runs. Stanford leads the Pac-12, averaging 8.7 runs per game this year. They've now hit 28 home runs, which also leads the conference. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He chased a high one. And Kamatz picks up his 5th strikeout. Cardinals score 2. They leave 2 at the end of 4. It's Stanford 3 and Oregon State nothing. 3-0 Stanford as we head to the top of the 5th inning. The Cardinal trying to take the first 2 games of this 3-game series against Oregon State. And so Drew Bowser was ejected from the game in the bottom of the 4th inning, which means the Cardinal need a new 3rd baseman. So the replacement, Jimmy Nadai, freshman from Sydney, Australia. Wonder if he knew Travis Bazzana, both coming from Sydney. But Nadai will get into the game. Moved to Atlanta when he, about 12 years ago, or 13, 2010, that's when he began playing baseball. And so he takes over for Bowser. And Oregon State trying to get on the board. They'll have the 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up. Brady Casper, Tanner Smith, Kyle Dernetti facing Matt Scott, who has been excellent today. 4 innings, just 2 hits allowed, 4 strikeouts. Bunt attempt, foul.
Well, they went right at Natty.
Not a bad idea.
Right? Natty. They went right at him, right? But, it's kind of like football, right? You get an injury on a defensive back, a quarterback, the guy that comes in, they go right at him.
Take a shot right at him. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and with how well Scott is pitching, got to find any way to get on base here. He's only given up 2 hits, no walks.
Boy, he's been very, very efficient. I mean, he's through 4 innings, just thrown 56. Now it's 56 pitches.
Right. That's a good point. And David Esker would love to get him through another couple of innings. There is a little bit of movement in the Stanford bullpen, some stirring around. 1-1 pitch.
Well,
fouled away.
I always looked at the 5th inning from a starter as the most important inning for them. And why is it always the most important inning? When you have a lead, if you can get through the 5th inning, you have a top opportunity to get a win, as long as you're leading. And if you continue to watch baseball as long as I have, you will see some pitchers change everything in that 5th inning. Great changeup right there.
5th strikeout of the day for Matt Scott.
But you keep an eye, and scouts do it all the time. They'll keep an eye on a pitcher that has a lead in the 5th inning. They'll see his body language. Is he the same as he was in the 4th inning?
Mm-hmm.
And the 3rd and the 1st inning? Is he rushing things? And that'll tell you right off the bat that he's thinking different because he's thinking about getting that win. Now, you go to the Hall of Famers in MLB, you give them a lead in the 5th inning, goodbye. Forget it.
I tell you, Matt Scott has good stuff. He came in with 18 strikeouts in just 10 2/3 innings. As the first pitch popped up by Smith, Cobb, the shortstop, goes out, and he makes the catch, 2 away. But that's now 5 strikeouts on the night for Matt Scott, so he's got 23 in 15 1/3 innings. He's been impressive.
And this right here, before I wanted to say shot clock, but before the hitter's clock came in, where you got to be in the box within 10 seconds, came into play, Dernetti would have been called back to the bench and said, "Hey, let me talk to you, just to buy some more time."
Just to break the rhythm a little bit?
Well, just buy some more time.
Yeah.
You don't want an inning to last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're Oregon State, you want to buy a little bit more time for your starting pitcher on the bench, let him rest a little bit more. But now with the hitter's clock, you don't have that opportunity anymore.
Scott is just pumping them in, 0-2, just like that. Dernetti flied out in the 3rd inning, 0 for 1, batting .196 for the season. Here's the 0-2. Popped up, foul territory. Graham going out, over the shoulder, and he couldn't glove it.
It's got to be something about that first baseline. Forrester on the other side.
That's the second time
for the Beavers.
That's right.
Same locale.
Almost the same play.
We're going to get a replay.
Well,
you see Carter, ideally, any ball up in the air, you want to get to the spot where you think it's going to be, to where you could maybe get behind it. And that ball had enough elevation to where you could probably get to the wall and then turn around and pick it up. You don't want to ideally drift with the ball. If you can get behind it, get behind it.
Ground ball into left field. So Dernetti takes advantage of the extra opportunity, and he has a base hit. That's his 10th hit of the season, and it extends the inning for the leadoff hitter, Micah McDowell.
It's a breaking ball. It's actually on the outside part of the plate, but that happens more times than not is from a right-hand hitter. He's just trying to stay in there and battle, and you end up hooking that ball that's on the outside part in the 5-6 hole.
McDowell lined out in the 1st inning, grounded out in the 3rd. 0 for 2, leading the team with a .368 batting average with a home run and 8 RBIs. Outside for ball 1.
It's not a bad time to run, and you might be saying, "Hey, Wes, you're crazy. We're down 3-0. The worst thing that can happen right here is he gets thrown out, speaking of Donetti, and McDowell leads off, your leadoff hitter leads off the next inning. Best thing can happen, he gets in scoring position, and then you get a 2-out single and a run on the board.
1-0 pitch in the dirt, nicely blocked by Malcolm Moore. 2-0.
You just made me cold. You put your jacket on, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? So I got to wear my hoodie, and then all of a sudden you throw on your jacket.
It's not too bad, but it did get a little colder, so I figure 5th inning, that's about time for me to get the jacket on. 2-0 to McDowell. That's in there, 2-1. McDowell is tied for 4th in the Pac-12 with 25 hits on the season. Came in tied for 8th in batting average, although that's dropped a little bit. But he's having an excellent season. Throw to first. Check on Dernetti. McDowell, a junior from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Here's the 2-1. Close, but called a ball, 3-1.
Well, now you got a 3-1 count, 2 outs, and Dernetti at first base. I'm going to send Dernetti right now, regardless. This ball on a long single, Dernetti could score to any of the gaps.
Travis Bazzana waiting on deck. The 3-1 pitch, and that's going to find a hole and get into center field. Dernetti heading for third, and a 2-out rally for the Beavers. Runners on the corners. So this all started after the dropped foul ball by Carter Graham to extend the inning, and the Beavers now threatening.
Well, anytime there's been an error today and or a dropped throw or anything like that, both teams have been able to cover the person who made that error.
Thomas Eager, the pitching coach, going out to talk to his freshman. You think he's just trying to calm him down? It's tough. I mean, that's one thing for freshman pitchers, to be able to put those drops behind them. Again, it's not an error, but it would have ended the inning. And now you got to get an extra out.
Well, I think he's buying some time for the bullpen for Stanford right now. This is obviously a big part of the lineup for the Beavers, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, there's 2 outs, but we've seen how fast runs can score in this yard with these 2 clubs.
Tying run now coming to the plate as you see Nick Duguid getting loose for the Cardinal. So Bazzana representing the tying run for Oregon State. Beavers have had opportunities in these first couple of games. They've left a lot of runners on base. 3 so far tonight. They're 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. And Bazzana trying to get them on the board. 0 for 2 tonight, 338 on the season for the sophomore from Sydney. Good speed on the bases. Dernetti at third, McDowell on first. He's got 5 steals this year. First pitch, chopped to the right side. This could end the inning. The underhand flip from Haskins, and that'll do it. So a nice job by Scott getting out of the jam. And at the end of 4.5, still 3-0 Cardinal. Bottom of the 5th inning coming up at Stanford. The Cardinal still leading Oregon State 3-0. Got a little dicey in the top of the 5th. Beavers had runners on the corners with 2 outs. Check out the reaction here from the first baseman, Carter Graham. He dropped the foul ball that would have ended the inning earlier.
He did, but watch his reaction. It's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Carter Graham is like, hey, thank you.
I'm off the hook.
Yeah.
I like it. Fired up. And he's gonna thank his pitcher. Don't hurt him, Carter.
Well, we just saw what happened to Edwin Diaz,
That's right.
The Mets closer.
Top of the order here for the Cardinal. Eddie Park, Tommy Troy and Carter Graham. Boy, the WBC has been fun, hasn't it?
Now,
outside of the injury.
right. Now, the USA plays.
I think they're playing right now, actually, as that's a fly to left, handled by Cedillo for the first down.
Venezuela, I believe.
Venezuela in the quarterfinal round, right?
I believe.
I'll check on that. You've got me curious now. 6-5 in the top of the sixth inning, Venezuela leading.
I mean, if you're a USA baseball fan, you cannot be surprised. I will tell you, if I'm putting together a baseball club, I mean, I will go get me some Latin baseball players up the middle. Not that we're not skilled.
There's just so much talent all over the world. That's what's been so cool about this World Baseball Classic.
What these players go through in Latin countries, and I've been to them all. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Venezuela. Been to Dominican, Puerto Rico.
That's going to get down for a hit for Tommy Troy. So a one-out single. He's now 1 for 3. And it'll bring up Carter Graham.
But what these Latin kids go through when they're younger, right? Obviously, there's a lot of poverty in some of these countries, and they'll play baseball literally. I mean, it's not a joke. They'll play with a rocks, and that's what they have played baseball. Barefoot. They're going to the ballpark. These little kids, they'll show up to the yard, no shoes. And once they get over here and they get an opportunity to play this game, they don't want to go back home.
Runner takes off. Troy looking for the stolen base, and he's got it. So first pitch, he gets his 6th steal of the year.
Well, that's interesting, and it tells you right off the bat that Troy's
foot's probably feeling okay.
Pretty good, isn't it? And that's the last thing. And what we're talking about is Tommy Troy missed the last 2 games of the USC series because he fouled the ball off his foot. But you see him at first base, upper right, good jump. But that's the last thing in the world that the Beavers thought might happen when Troy got to first, because he's nursing that foot injury.
Well, he's now 6 for 6 stealing bases this year. And he's got himself in scoring position. 1-1 the count on Graham. 1 for 2 with a run scored for Carter. Pops that one out of play, and it's 1-2.
Now, the last time in this situation where Graham got behind in the count with 2 strikes,
got a mistake.
He did.
Made the most of it with a base hit.
He did. Komatz threw him a fastball right down the middle. I don't think that's going to happen right now. Probably something on the outside part, breaking pitch.
And he was able to lay off 2-2. 68 pitches for Jacob Komatz. Sophomore right-hander. Making his 5th start of the year. 2-2 pitch. 3-2. And the dangerous Braden Montgomery waiting on deck.
Well, here's the thing. If you're calling pitches for the Beavers, obviously you know that Montgomery's on deck, but you also know that Graham, who led the pack in home runs
22 last year.
You throw a ball right down the middle, it's going to be 5-0.
Pulled onto the left side. This is going to be a long throw for Dernetti. It's late, and moving up to third is Troy. Runners on the corners and 1 out.
Well, Dernetti makes a great play just to get to this ball, and then Carter Graham, the hitter, is smelling a hit.
Is that one where you maybe just hold it?
Well,
don't throw?
Here's the thing, and it's a really, really good point by you, Ben, because here's what happens. And again, we talked about this computer in defenser. If you're an infielder, you got to know the situation. You got Troy is over at second base. There's 1 out. Do you have a chance to get Graham? Again, like you said, this is an opportunity for Dernetti to maybe fake that throw and bait Troy to come off the bag and go to third base. But because he made that throw to first base, I mean, Tommy Troy, just a great base runner, obviously. He read it and got over to third and sets up the Cardinal first and third with 1 out and gives them an opportunity where they can score a run with an out here.
So this becomes fascinating as you see the conference on the mound, and we're going to get the pitching change. We'll talk more about it, but to your point earlier, Braden Montgomery coming up. There is a runner on first. There's an open base at second. Let's see what the Beavers decide they want to do.
We'll find out. I mean,
We'll take a break for this pitching change. Back in a moment. Stanford up 3. Oregon State going to the left-hander in the bottom of the 5th. Coming into a jam, runners on the corners, 1 out. Nelson Keljo making his 7th appearance of the season. No record, a 7.71 ERA. He's pitched 4 2/3, given up 4 earned runs, does have 8 strikeouts, but he's walked 5. And so we'll see the strategy here. It's going to be a lefty-lefty matchup as he goes against the sophomore switch hitting Braden Montgomery. So they flip him around. He'll bat from the right. But again, before the break, Wes, we were sort of talking strategy. You have 1st and 3rd. Let's see how they pitch Montgomery.
Well, if you were ever going to do it, and what we talked about previously, do you just walk Montgomery right here and load the bases? If you were ever going to do it, it's right now, and I'll tell you why. Because Moore is the left-handed catcher who's on deck. So now you have left on left with Keljoy. You don't forget that Bowser is no longer in the game, and Nadi will come up behind Moore. So if you're ever going to do this, walk Montgomery, it's now.
Let's see.
They're not going to do it.
Happen. Well, we'll see if they give him anything to hit, but he's a dangerous hitter, as we know. Homered his last time up and takes a strike. Montgomery, a 2-run blast last inning for his 7th home run of the year. Has his average up to .421. 7 homers, 16 RBIs, a chance to add to that total. Falls behind 0-2. Good pitch from Keljo.
Keljo just came right in and just threw 2 fastballs. Hit it. Take a look at Moore on deck.
Keljo is a freshman, good size, 6'4", 220, from Portland. Ahead in the count. Can he finish off Montgomery? That's low. 1-2. Braden Montgomery, 2nd in the Pac-12 in batting average, 1st in on-base percentage and slugging, 1st in runs scored. Came in tied for 3rd in home runs. That was before he hit one out today. 1-2 pitch. In the air to center. McDowell under it. This should be plenty deep to score the run from 3rd. Both runners tag. Troy comes in to score. Graham stays at 1st, and it's 4-0 Cardinal.
Well, they just went fastball, 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 right? And with 2 strikes, and you got money down at 3rd base, money meaning a runner down there where you can get an RBI with an out. You give it Montgomery an opportunity, he's going to keep throwing him fastballs. They didn't even try to trick him right there.
Well, it's a good job by Montgomery, falling behind 0-2 and able to make good contact, get the fly ball, get the RBI. And the Cardinal extend their lead as Malcolm Moore steps up. Now 2 out, runner on 1st. And here's your lefty-lefty matchup. Couple of freshmen doing battle. Tied him up with the first pitch. 0-1. Moore struck out in the 2nd inning, singled in the 4th, 1 for 2. Hitting .338 on the year. He's got some pop, 5 home runs, 15 RBIs. Up the middle, and that's going to get down. Base hit. Graham takes a turnaround second, stays there. And so the inning continues, and it'll be the aforementioned Jimmy Nadi coming to the plate.
Well, we talked about Moore. I mean, he was the #1 prospect out of high school and college baseball in the entire country, and he is not disappointed. But what you really love to see from a left-hand hitter as a freshman is how he does against left-hand pitching, and he stays right in there and knocks a fastball in the inside part right up the middle.
Nadi fouls the first pitch back. He came on to replace Drew Bowser, who was ejected from the game after striking out his last time up.
Wouldn't you like to know for what, though? Just be able to mic down.
We'll go check after the game. We got to ask around, do some investigating.
Jeff Hendricks, the home plate umpire, just tell us what do you do. That's all.
1-1.
It would be kind of nice, wouldn't you think? Just to have him mic'd up and say, hey.
That would be cool.
So just
probably need a delay on that, though.
Just
if we have a live mic feed on everybody. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Nadi 3 hits and 25 at bats. 4 runs batted in. Freshman from Sydney. Here's the 1-2. Called strike 3, and that ends the inning. So Keljo does a pretty good job. He gives up the sac fly, but limits the damage to 1. And at the end of 5 at Sunken Diamond, it's 4-0 Cardinal. Ranked number 9 in the nation, leading Oregon State 4-0. Trying to take the first 2 games of this series and clinch a series victory if they can hang on for the win tonight. Matt Scott, starting pitcher, has been excellent for the Cardinal. They'll be facing the heart of the order here in the 6th, 3, 4, and 5. Mason Guerra, Garrett Forrester, and Ruben Cedillo.
Well, you talked about a big inning.
Something going here.
Well, with the Beavers chasing 4 runs right now, I mean, you're talking about 12 outs left in this game for the Beavers. Not that they can't. You just need 1. Right? You need 1 out left in a game. You got to get 27.
We saw what they did last night. They were down 9-3, right. Got back within 9-8, just came up short. So here's Guerra. He's been on base both times, reached on an error and singled. 357 hitter.
And we are talking about a Stanford pitching staff that so far this year has a team ERA of over 5.
5.20 to be exact, which is 10th in the conference, second to last.
Just a little bit outside, right? Was that
2-0? Yes,
Just
it was.
A little bit.
Still a classic. Still a classic.
And so is he.
Well, here's a stat for you for Stanford. I can't remember if I mentioned it last night or not. This is a team that when they allow 5 runs or fewer, they're 8-1. And so it just shows the offense has been there.
Well, they have 11 wins now, right?
They have 11 wins.
So 8 of the 11 is what you're talking about.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the key because they're 11-5 overall. So it means they're 3-4 in games where they give up 6 runs or more. And, again, holding a team to 5 runs or fewer isn't asking a ton. You're not asking them to be perfect. But I'm just saying give our offense a chance to do its thing. And certainly tonight they've done more than that. Matt Scott pitching a shutout here into the 6th inning. Mile-high pop-up to the left side. Cobb is looking into that cloudy sky and makes the catch. Out number 1.
Cobb has got a magnet on him today, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does feel like he's fielding everything. He's made a couple of great plays. Now the cleanup hitter, Garrett Forrester. Singled in the 1st, flied out in the 4th. 323 right-handed hitter steps in. Strike 1.
But regardless of what happens in this series, we've talked about, and I have specifically talked about, I think it's more important for Oregon State that they, at minimum, get a win here in this series. But both of these clubs, come May, late May, are going to be in the talk for hosting regionals, in my opinion.
I was called a strike by Jake Uhlenhoff, the first base umpire, said he went around 0-2. Yeah, I think you're right about that. There's certainly a good chance. I mean, again, these are 2 teams that's the goal. These are teams with national championship type aspirations. Swing and a miss. Matt Scott, his 6th strikeout.
Well, he took a little bit off of a slider that almost looked like a changeup, but it's a slider, and he took something off it.
That's a career high for Matt Scott, the freshman. Before tonight, he hadn't pitched more than 3 innings in any of his games. I take that back.
That's actually just a flat-out straight change.
He's been keeping these hitters off balance. Been very impressive. Trying to get through 6 innings. You see the pitch count not bad at 77.
Oh, it's great.
He's been efficient. Yeah, you're right. Better than okay.
Oh, that's tremendous.
So here's Ruben Cedillo. Had 2 home runs in last night's game, 0 for 2 today. 1-0 the count. 2-0. Well, if you're David Esker and you've got Scott pitching this well, we talked about how the Cardinal has had some struggles in the bullpen. You'll take every out you can get from your starter here.
Well, I mean, if the question is if Scott gets this out right now and gets through this inning, do I go back out? The answer is yes. You're going back out, kid.
It is interesting because, you know, he hasn't pitched a ton in his previous outings. His longest outing before this was last weekend at USC, 72 pitches. That stays high, 3-1. So he's at 81 right now. The on-deck hitter would be Mikey Kane.
This right here, if you're Cedillo, you are looking dead red because dead red is coming. Just make sure you don't pop it up.
He got it and he swung through it. And it's 3-2.
A lot of times hitters, when they get ahead 3-1, they know a fastball is coming. They try to do too much. I used to think as a hitter, hey, don't pop it up because you try to lift, right? You're trying to leave, right? Don't pop it up. That's all. And that'll make you focus on hitting the line drive. Well, that's an interesting pitch right there. It's a 3-2 off-speed pitch. You're up 4-0. Okay? So now who comes to the plate is obviously you got Mikey Kane. Is he somebody's going to leave the yard? Probably not. But it's an interesting call for me.
First walk of the game for Matt Scott. And so Mikey Kane does get a chance to hit. Batting .323 on the year. He does have 3 home runs. Hasn't put the ball in play yet. 2 strikeouts tonight. And takes inside. Well, this would likely seem to be the last batter for Scott with action in the Stanford bullpen. Trying to get through 6 innings. Now at 84 pitches. That's in there for strike 1.
Well, you get the left-handed Casper on deck.
It's a right-hander who's warming up in the bullpen. Or maybe not.
I
can't
like
tell from here.
Down there. Well, if you're relying on my eyes, forget it.
1-1. On the corner for a strike, 1-2.
Boy, I tell you what, if that's on the corner, that's on the furthest part of the corner.
Paint. It's a pitcher's strike. Matt Scott trying to get through 6 scoreless innings. He's got 6 strikeouts tonight, a career high. The 1-2 pitch, runner goes. Pick the right one to go on, and he's got a stolen base.
I love that. I love that aggressiveness right there. Again, you're chasing 4 runs if you're the Beavers. If you get thrown out, you get thrown out. But when it looks like you're going to have to manufacture runs. I don't think you're going to go station to station and expect to come back against the Stanford club today.
That's the 3rd steal for Cedillo this season.
It's 2 strikes.
Tell you, Moore made that pretty close.
He did.
It was a good throw.
But when you're ahead 1-2 and you're the Beavers, you're thinking off speed most likely is coming. So it's a great time to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And he got the off speed in the dirt.
I mean, so right now, Kane can just feather this ball into the outfield and get a hit, and the Beavers get a run on the board. It's all of a sudden it's 4-1. You feel better about yourself as a club.
Well, last night we talked a little bit about the Beavers' struggles offensively this month. They did score 8 last night. As the 2-2 pitch on the way. Popped up, foul territory. Graham might have a play. Coming over. And he hangs on to this one to end the inning. Well, that's a case where the foul territory here plays into the Cardinals' favor. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th, 4-0. New pitcher for Oregon State as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It is Ian Lawson, the right-hander, making his 7th appearance of the year. He has been excellent, a 1-0 record and a 0.69 ERA. Just 1 run allowed in his 13 innings of work, 18 strikeouts, 4 walks. Lawson, the big 6'7" junior from Hillsboro, Oregon, went to Century High School. And he's going to face the bottom of the Stanford lineup: Alberto Rios, Trevor Haskins, and Owen Cobb.
Now the
Cardinal leading 4-0.
Beavers came into this series as the second lowest ERA in the Pac-12 behind the UCLA Bruins.
Yeah, they're still there, 3.06 team ERA. Their pitching has been phenomenal this year.
They've really had trouble scoring runs, which is something that Mitch Canham didn't think was going to be the case. Albeit, I mean, keep in mind, we're talking about 25% of the season.
Right, plenty of time to go. And as I mentioned, they scored 8 runs last night, and they scored 12 the game before that against Nevada. So maybe that's a sign they're moving in the right direction. Still averaging better than 7 runs per game this year are the Beavers, but held off the scoreboard tonight as Rios will lead off this inning for Stanford. Oregon State coming in 12-6 overall, just 1-3 to start Pac-12 play. Went 48-18 last year. Finished second in the conference behind Stanford, and then lost in the Pac-12 title game to the Cardinal. Rios takes ball 1. Doubled and scored in the 3rd inning, walked in the 4th. Having an outstanding junior season. 356, 4 home runs, 24 RBIs, which are tied for most in the Pac-12. And he leads off with a base hit. So Rios aboard for the 3rd time tonight.
The longer you see this Stanford club, you're like, we talked about their ERA, right? Team ERA of over 5. You look at this lineup, and it's nonstop. There's no place to breathe
1 through 9
for a pitcher on the other side.
Yeah, and we talked about Owen Cobb being your 9-hitter, coming in with a 3.12 average. Here's Trevor Haskins, who's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice in this game.
Oh, that Lord.
Thankfully avoided him.
Did that go behind his head?
I think it went over his head. It's a strike because he offered at it.
We're going to take a look at it.
Fortunately, it missed him.
Look at his helmet and then pick up the ball. Yeah, it did.
Oof.
It did. That's what I thought. That's my eyes that saw that.
Now he pulls the bunt back and takes ball 1.
Well, this is David Esker playing some baseball. I mean, David Esker, if you don't know, was an outstanding shortstop right here for this same Stanford Cardinal club.
Won a national title in 1987.
He's got some gamesmanship in him, and he showed bunt early right there, and they pulled it back and said, hey, I might slash. You crash on the corners on a bunt, we might slash. And all that's just putting a seed in the Beavers' minds.
See that record of 193 and 77. That's the best winning percentage in Stanford history. Now, granted, it's only 6 seasons, but he's been terrific since coming over from Cal. 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed. And a strikeout for out number 1.
Well, when you replace somebody, an iconic head coach, Mark Marquis, I mean, one of the best ever to do it.
At any level of baseball.
Some big shoes to fill.
I got it.
Of course, David played for him.
Won that national championship for him in 1987. Cardinal back-to-back champions in the late 80s, 87 and 88. As Owen Cobb steps in, shows bunt, takes ball 1. Well, the Cardinal have been now to back-to-back College World Series the last 2 years. They've been to 18 in their history.
I think how they got there last year was incredible. They won 5 consecutive elimination games, which is unheard of.
You talk about resilience. Runner bluffs, line drive, base hit. Rios will take off for 3rd as trouble in left field for Cedillo, and both runners advance. And the Cardinal with runners on 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. That'll be a hit and an error on the left fielder, Cedillo.
Well, it's great base running by Rios. And why? Because you run with your head up. The minute Cedillo bobbles that ball in left field, Rios, because he's going hard from the start, he knows he can get to 3rd. Where the problem in this play is Cedillo. Cedillo's got to throw that ball into second base because Cobb does a tremendous job of base running, picks up the ball as he rounds first. He ends up on second, and now just like that, Eddie Park, second and third. One out.
Takes a strike. Eddie Park, 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Had a huge game last night in game 1, 2 for 4 with a grand slam.
This is where the Stanford lineup, if you're an opposing manager, it's impossible. Because with first base open, right, you'd think, okay, right-hand hitter on deck. Well, it's Tommy Troy.
It happens to be okay? Tommy Troy, one of those dangerous hitters out there.
But ideally, and then, prior to the last 2 innings ago when we found out Tommy Troy's foot is feeling real good, you'd say, hey, well, maybe we'll put on Eddie Park here. We'll get a ground ball double play and get out of the inning.
He's running okay.
He's running okay. He's okay.
Comebacker off Lawson, and a run will come in to score on an infield single, and it's 5-0. Let's make sure Lawson's okay. That hit him pretty flush, but it looks like he is all right. Well, Eddie Park continues his hot series. He's now 2 for 4 today. Give him his 18th RBI of the season.
And this lineup is just relentless. You just can't breathe.
And here's Tommy Troy, 395 hitter. 1 for 3 on the night. Cardinal can really break this game open. Grounder to third. Can they turn 2 to second for 1? Relay to first. Unable to get out Forrester. The run scores, and it's 6-0.
And of course, Tommy Troy, again, we talked about his foot. He's running real good.
He is. Tough to turn that double play, 5-4-3. And they had to hurry the throw at second base. Pizzana on a hop. Forrester couldn't dig it out. So credit an RBI to Troy. And it's 6-0 Cardinal. And as Carter Graham comes to the plate with 2 out. Well, don't look now, but now even Carter Graham's starting to heat up. 2 for 3 tonight. Had a couple hits last night as well. Or 1 hit, rather, last night, as he takes ball 1. But he's got a 7-game hitting streak going, average up to 222. It's a guy who hit .331 last year with 22 home runs.
Well, if you go to this Cardinal lineup and you think about it, assuming they're all healthy, Park, potential All-American. Troy, potential All-American. Graham, potential All-American. Montgomery, All-American.
I mean, they're all preseason All-Americans, so you're right.
And more, right? As a freshman has an opportunity with his numbers.
Yep.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a better lineup than what the Cardinal can run out there.
No question. Averaging almost 9 runs a game this year. There's a look at Braden Montgomery on deck, hoping to get another chance to hit this inning. 2-1 to Graham. Good pitch. Outside corner, 2-2. Cardinals 6 runs on 11 hits. 2-2 pitch. Just inside. 3-2. So Troy will get a head start from first base. Payoff pitch. Softly into center field, and that gets down for a hit. Troy into third. It's the 3rd hit of the night for Carter Graham, and it extends the inning for Montgomery.
And you go back to his first hit. Remember, he got it behind 0-2, and he got that fastball right down the middle, knocked it into center field. And hitting is mental. If it's more than anything else, is mental, right? And just like that, as you mentioned, 3rd hit in a row, or actually 3 hits in a row.
Yep.
And that's the last thing any opponent wants to see is Carter Graham start heating up.
Yeah, you get a hot Carter Graham in this lineup, and they're unstoppable. So another conversation on the mound. This Another dangerous situation. Braden Montgomery, who's already homered in this game, his 7th of the year. He's got 3 RBIs tonight. Had a sac fly his last time up.
Well, now you're getting in a situation, if you're the Beavers and Mitch Canham, it's like, okay, you're chasing 6 runs now, right? You have 9 outs left. Do you want to go deep into your pen right now? Or do you want to give the ball to Lawson right now and hope that he gets out of this? Because you're going to try, you want to try, not that you're assuming you're going to lose this game, but you also have to think rationally as a skipper.
There's so much that goes into it. You're right. I mean, this is not a do or die game. You got another one tomorrow that you have to think about as well. Strike one. Braden Montgomery, freshman of the year last year in the Pac-12, a preseason All-American, on the Golden Spikes watch list.
2 changeups in a row.
1-1. He hit 18 home runs last year, which was a Stanford freshman record. He's got 7 so far this season to lead the team. Cardinal leading the Pac-12 with 28 home runs this year. That one hit to center field and pretty deep. McDowell chasing into the gap. It's off the wall. Troy scores easily. Graham will try and score from first. He does. A 2-run double to make it 8-0. And Braden Montgomery has 5 RBIs tonight.
Well, 2 consecutive changeups and then the fastball. And we've talked about the talent that Montgomery has. He doesn't try to pull the ball, and he just uses his hands so well. It's a fastball on the outside part. Just watch his hands. Nothing else. He's just sitting, fastball, boom.
What a swing.
It's just a beautiful thing to see, and my.
He is special. I mean, the home run went to the opposite field. That double just left of center. Malcolm Moore, first pitch swinging, fly ball to center. McDowell is there, and that will end the inning. But the Cardinal put up 4. They've doubled their leads at 8-0 at the end of 6. Beavers work to do when we come back. Welcome back to Stanford. A look at the other scores in the Pac-12 today. Wes, you were talking about some of these games earlier. Cal picking up their first conference win over USC. They're actually playing a doubleheader up in Berkeley.
Okay, and that's right after USC had won 3 in a row. The last 2 last weekend against this Stanford club. And then they won the first game of that series at Cal. And then Cal is looking to sweep the Trojans today. Arizona State took care of Utah. Oregon, after trailing early in that game 4-0, came back
14 runs
to score 14 and beat Brian Green's Cougars.
Take a look at the standings early on. You see Arizona State, their first conference series this weekend. They've taken the first 2 from Utah. UCLA at 4-1, and then gets a little muddled. Stanford with a win today would join that group at 3-2, and you see where Oregon State is. They're in danger of falling to 1-4. Obviously very early, but that's why we talked about this series being so important for both teams.
Well, we talked about the RPIs, right? And the current RPIs, this is just based on Warren Nolan's right now, but after UCLA beat Arizona the first 2 games, their RPI is already up to number 2 in the country.
Matt Scott back out for a 7th inning as he delivers ball 1 to Brady Casper. 90 pitches for the freshman right-hander who has been tremendous tonight. That's in there, 1-1. Scott, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, just 4 hits allowed. And he has kept this Beavers offense off the scoreboard. Casper 0 for 2. Fouls it away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, just 91 pitches, and again, we're at the top of the 7th. I'm sure that Thomas Eager is hoping to get Scott through this inning, although somebody is up in the pen right now, and rightly so.
Well, again, before this, Scott hadn't pitched more than 3 innings in any of his games this year. Hit hard, diving attempt by Haskins off his glove, and that's a base hit. He nearly had a highlight reel play. So Casper, a leadoff single.
We'll take a look at this, and Haskins does all he can to try to knock this ball down, and Thomas Eager's open. Haskins, can't you get this ball? Get this ball. It's a great effort. Great
just
effort.
Hit so hard. As we get a visit from the Stanford dugout, that's the pitching coach Thomas Eager.
I think they're going to make a move right now.
As he mentioned, there is action in the Cardinal bullpen.
When you see Thomas come out early just like this after one hitter,
makes the point.
This is job well done by Matt Scott.
He'll get a well-deserved round of applause from the fans here at Sunken Diamond and his teammates as well. What an outing. 6 innings. Hasn't given up a run. He is responsible for Casper on first. 6 strikeouts. And a new pitcher coming in for the Cardinal. We'll tell you all about him when we come back. Pitching break on the farm. Welcome back to Stanford. Ben Ross, Wes Clements with you as you see Matt Scott getting some hugs and high fives in the dugout. What an outing for the freshman right-hander. Goes 6 innings. Kept Oregon State off the scoreboard. He is responsible for the runner on first, but 6 strikeouts, just 1 walk, and really a terrific performance against a good lineup.
Thomas Eager is pitching coach, and of course David Esker. What more could you ask for? Middle game, 6 innings, and then they call to the bullpen for the freshman Nick Dugan.
So you go freshman to freshman, and this is a kid that you like, Wes. You're telling me that you liked his stuff.
Yeah, I saw him early in the year, the first series of the year over at Goodwin Field at Cal State Fullerton, and this youngster's got a real good arm, but he's got a tremendous changeup.
Well, as you might expect from a youngster, a lot of walks, 11 of them. The 15 strikeouts, though, in 13 innings of work. The freshman from Eureka, California, St. Bernard's Academy. And he will come in to face Tanner Smith, the number 8 hitter in the Oregon State lineup, with Casper on first. So he's got a cushion here. Let's see if he can throw some strikes. Up 8-0.
Well, that's how do you make comebacks when you're chasing a lot of runs? Walks, right?
And we saw it yesterday.
We saw it last night.
Part of what helped the Beavers come back from 9-3, get back within 9-8. Of course, the long ball also helped. But it was the walks that led to the grand slam, as that's outside for ball 1. Smith 0 for 2 tonight, batting .217 on the year. Runner goes, throw to second, and it's a stolen base for Casper. I was a little surprised to see him go in there down 8, but Wes, I guess to your point earlier, got to find a way to get some momentum, manufacture maybe a run.
Well, Graham's playing behind, and I don't mind that at all. If they're going to give you a base right there, take it.
So it's the 3rd stolen base of the year for Casper. And that's a strike, 2-1.
I'll take aggressive over passive anytime. I should say every time.
Any or every time. 2-1 the count. 3-1. Kyle Dernetti will hit next. No runs, 5 hits, 1 error for Oregon State. 8 runs, 13 hits, and an error for Stanford. 3-1 is fouled away.
Boy, Smith helped him out. Speaking of Dugan right there, that's ball 4. And again, if you're a young hitter and you're chasing 8 runs, that 3-1 pitch, it's got to be on a tee. Literally right down the middle if you're going to make an offer at it. That ball's down, and that's ball 4.
Smith, the sophomore from Chandler, Arizona. Now 3-2.
Right?
And got him looking.
The middle.
Strikeout for the first out. Nick Dugan, nice pitch.
Well, it's right down the middle. There's a part of me that thinks that Smith was a little bit frustrated that he knows he swung at ball 4. And this one just locks him up. This is right down Broadway.
He thought maybe low.
Yeah, but
Yeah, he was trying to sell it, but
he was
called out by Jeff Hendricks as Dernetti takes ball 1.
Good comeback by Dugan on the mound for the Cardinal. Got behind.
Dernetti 1 for 2 with a single in this one. Fly ball center field. Park drifts back. Makes the catch. Casper tags and takes third. 2 away.
Just good base running by Casper right there. Just because you're chasing 8 runs doesn't mean you can be fundamentally sound. If Casper has an opportunity in his mind, he did, to tag and get over to third, you do it. There's a lot of clubs and a lot of mentalities that will say, hey, just stay at second, you can score in a single. Well, I will tell you there's 100 more times, different ways you can score from being at third base.
Sure are.
Than you can from second.
So now back to the top of the order for Micah McDowell. Singled his last time up, 1 for 3. Hitting .377. Top 10 in the conference in batting average. Tied up there for strike 1. Beavers trying to get on the board. Down 8-0 here in the 7th inning. Runner on third, 2 out. Chased 1 for strike 2.
There's that changeup. I mean, it's just filthy. It really is. I mean, the upside of Mr. Dugan here for the Cardinals. Don't forget this kid's name 2 years from now.
Oh-2 pitch. Bounces away, and that's going to let the run score. So the Beavers do get on the board on the wild pitch, and it's 8-1. And that's exactly what you were saying, Wes. Mm-hmm. That's why you moved to third base.
Yeah, and I will tell you, this is just growing pains for Malcolm Moore. You know a changeup's coming right here, so you're just going to sit, right? And that's a blockable ball. Should have been blocked. He's had some issues with balls in the dirt, but that ball, it's a changeup. So if you're a catcher, you got 2 strikes, you're just going to sit, right? You know it's the worst case scenario is the ball's going to be in dirt, and you're going to expect the ball in the dirt.
So that run is charged to Matt Scott.
Just growing pains. That's all it is as a freshman. Mom and Dad, trust me, I love your kid. He is going to be a star in this game.
1-2 pitch, called strike 3. Couple of strikeouts in the inning for Dugan. Beavers get on the board. It's 8-1 at the end of 6.5. We'll stretch here at Stanford. Cardinal up by 7. Farm, Stanford in control, leading Oregon State 8-1. Cardinal took game 1 of this series last night, 9-8, trying to make it 2 in a row. As we head to the bottom of the 7th inning, a new pitcher coming in for Oregon State will be Tyler Mejia.
I was going to say, it's not picnic weather out there on the barn.
It's a little bit cooler than it was earlier, but still not too bad. I do have the jacket on. Take a look at the numbers on Mejia, making his 4th appearance. Hasn't allowed an earned run.
I'd say that's perfect.
That's pretty darn good. 7 strikeouts, no walks.
Although we do have somebody in the Pac-12 who leads the entire country in ERA, don't we?
That's right.
And I believe he's a Cal Bear.
That's right. Ian May, I believe, right?
Yes. And it's not just the 3 or 4 innings.
I think he's had 3 or 4 starts now without giving up a run. As the first pitch popped up by Nadai. And 1 pitch, 1 out for Mejia. Well, Mejia is a freshman from Castle Rock, Colorado, and he was all-state in high school. 6'3", 192 pounds. Trying to stay perfect this year.
wonder if that's a recruiting strategy, right? If you're a cold weather club, do you go to cold weather states to recruit because they're going to be used to it, competing?
There could be something to that.
I need to call Pat Casey and just say, hey, Case, what'd you do?
Yeah, find out. Alberto Rios bangs that one into left center. And it's another hit for Rios. He's 3 for 3 with a walk.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb. The past 2 weeks, he's the best 7-hole hitter in the entire country.
He has been on fire. 24 RBIs this season. Tied for most in the Pac-12. And he's hitting .387.
I think they're going to run for him. Are they?
Yeah, they will. Get a pinch runner for Rios.
And this is more so on the, I believe, defensively, unless he is nursing something. I don't know. Couldn't tell.
That's Saborn Campbell coming in to pinch run, sophomore.
Keep an eye on that. Because you could say, well, you're up 8-0, you go into your defensive mode if you're David Esker, right?
Right.
Not that Alberto can't play defense and left, because he's made some great plays out there, but you hope it's for defense if you're a Cardinal fan.
It could be, and just give him a chance to get off his feet for a moment. This could be 2. 4-6-3, inning-ending double play. So Haskins grounds into the twin bill, and Tyler Mejia, a solid inning. End of 7, 8-1. We head to the top of the 8th inning with number 9 Stanford leading Oregon State 8-1. Thanks for joining us tonight on Pac-12 Network. Ben Ross, Wes Clements with you here from Sunken Diamond.
Klein Field, for those people who say, hey, there's Klein Field.
I think you can go either way. It's officially Klein Field at Sunken Diamond.
By the way,
Saborn Campbell will stay in the game and left.
In Stanford, California.
Stanford, California. On the farm.
It's a beautiful place here. I never liked playing here.
Why is that?
The ball didn't carry.
No.
It didn't, back in 1920, when I played.
I'll tell you, based on this series, I don't know. Last night we saw 5 home runs as that strike 1 to Travis Pizzana. Pizzana looking for his first hit tonight, hitting .333 on the season.
Would you believe when I played here, John Elway played right?
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. I had no clue who he was.
Talk about a pretty good athlete. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
That is something when you talk about athletes, right? They'll talk, and of course, listen, every era thinks they have the best athletes ever, right? John Elway, I think, is overlooked when it comes to quarterbacks and what we see some of the quarterbacks do now.
Line drive left field. Campbell slips, and it's going to get to the wall. Pizzana can run. He's around second. He'll stop there, and it'll be a double.
He never fails in this game, right? You make a defensive move.
It's coming right to you.
You make a move as a skipper. You're going to put your best defensive outfielder out there, and the ball finds him.
The ball will always find you.
We're going to take a look at this. The ball's hit pretty hard, and the hardest ball for an outfielder is a solid line drive. And you can just see Campbell, he just slipped. So he just lost his footing is all.
The ball had a lot of movement on it, too. Tough play. So Pizzana now 1 for 4. And that is his 9th double of the season, which moves him atop the Pac-12.
But back to the athleticism, right? Patrick Mahomes, right? Obviously, everybody thinks they would pick him right now to be the quarterback for them, right?
I'd take him.
Right. And so, but John Elway was doing what Mahomes was doing a long, long time ago.
To an extent. Elway was great. I think what makes Mahomes a little different is his mobility and some of the different types of throws, some of the crazy sidearm throws he makes. And
you're kidding, right?
Well, the way he extends plays, I think, is unique. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it like Mahomes.
Elway, you couldn't sack him. I mean, and who had a stronger arm?
Well, I'll give you that. The arm was incredible. One and one on Guerra.
I think he did.
They're going to look to first base. No swing. 2-1.
You know, when I think of Elway, you remember the touchdown he made in that Super Bowl against, it was a Green Bay when he did that
the little
flip?
helicopter
yeah,
twirl.
the helicopter. Yeah. Jeez.
No question. One of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play. 2-1. And that hit him. So, 2 on.
No out.
Nobody out. Beavers trying to claw their way back into this game.
Is that a back elbow? Last night, if you weren't with us, Stanford had 2 hitters that were hitting their back. They're both left-hand hitters hitting their back left elbow. And where's this ball?
Yep,
the same
spot.
You know, all the hitters, they're wearing the armor on their left arm, right?
You got to start putting it on the back arm, too.
Apparently, it's the back arm. And this right here is a trip out to buy some more time. It's a 7-run lead. If you're Stanford, you need to get 6 outs. And this is just to buy some time. Thomas Eager going out there and telling the youngster, Nick Dugan, hey, breathe. We got a 7-run lead. What we can ill afford to do is throw balls and walk people. Let your defenders field the ball, and we'll be all right.
It's his first hit batter of the year.
Now, having said that, my guess is that when Thomas Eager walks off the mound, that bullpen for the Cardinals will start moving around.
Jeff Hendricks, the home plate umpire, saying, let's move it along, fellas.
Jeff Hendricks has your Stanford bullpen, and everybody at home saying, Wes, what are you talking about? Nobody's moving. Everybody's sleeping down there.
Well, we'll see. You have time. Eager now walking back to the dugout, so let's see if they do get somebody up. Cleanup hitter coming to the plate, Garrett Forrester, and Oregon State down by 7, but a little rally going here in the 8th inning. 2 on, nobody out. Forrester 1 for 3 tonight. Breaking ball for ball 1.
Now, when you're chasing 7 runs, what you don't want Garrett Forrester, Beaver fans, to do right here is leave the yard. You don't. You want base runners.
Rally killer?
Well, it's not so much a rally killer. You just want pitchers to pitch from the stretch. When you're trying to make comebacks, you want them to pitch from the stretch. You want them to see base runners.
I think Beaver fans would take a home run here.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I mean,
I get your point, though, as well. Sometimes you're right. You want the pitcher in the stretch, and you have runners on base. It sort of snowballs when you get a good rally going like that. That just missed. 2-1. Forrester hitting .317 on the season. He's got a couple home runs. 11 runs batted in. First team all Pac-12 last year. Opposite field. Hit pretty well to right, and that gets down and goes all the way to the wall. 1 run will score. They'll hold Guerra at third. It's an RBI double, and it's 8-2.
Well, regardless of what happens in this game, it's a real good sign for the Beavers to have Forrester swing the bat. Start to swing the bat.
Okay.
For Forrester, that's his 12th RBI of the season. And don't go away just yet. Oregon State climbing back into this game. They've still got 2 runners in scoring position. Still nobody out in the inning. And the batter is Ruben Cedillo. 0 for 2 with a walk. Hit 2 home runs in last night's game. Strike 1. Beaver fans and players, I think, disagreed based on their reaction. As you see now, we do have some action in the Cardinal bullpen. So Nick Dugan trying to put an end to this rally, limit the damage. He's still got a 6-run lead. That's high and tight, 1-1. Or are they saying that it hit the bat? Well, I guess it hit something. Cedillo's trying to say it hit his hands. And I think they're calling it a foul ball. And we're going to get an argument from Oregon State. Of course, Mitch Canham wants to talk to the home plate umpire, Jeff Henricks.
Well, you look at Cedillo.
I wonder if we have another look at this one. It's a big call, potentially. If that's a hit batter, it would load the bases. Instead, it would be 0-2 if they call it a foul ball, which is what it appears they are doing.
We're going to take a look at it right here. I believe. Maybe not.
Well, it is going to be a foul ball, so they're saying that it hit the bat, and that's a tough break for Cedillo because he finds himself in a hole now, 0-2. That ball was well inside.
You see home plate umpire Jeff Hendricks right there. He had his pad out, marking down, writing down something. What he's writing down is a conference with Mitch Canham, the head coach for the Beavers, talking with Cedillo right there. That counts against the offensive conversation.
Here's the 0-2. Comebacker. Dugan looks the runner back to third, throws to first, and that's out number one.
It's a big out. It's a big out for Dugan.
That brings up the number 6 hitter, Mikey Kane. 0 for 3 on the night. Batting .318 on the year. 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Sophomore from La Cañada trying to at least bring in 1 run here. He could maybe bring in 2 with a base hit. Cardinal leading 8-2. First pitch swinging. Tough play for the catcher Moore, and he makes it perfectly.
Boy, I tell you what a talent this kid is.
He just popped out from behind the plate and
it's his arm
made a
strength.
great throw.
The arm strength, the more behind the dish. I mean, he just flips this thing and throws a rocket down to first base. We're going to get a look at it. Watch him. It's a swinging bunt, what they would call, and watch Moore. Gets to the ball, picks it up with his bare hand, not his glove, and just flips it down there at about 90.
And a perfect throw. Right into the chest of Carter Graham at first base. So 2 outs, runners still at second and third. And that's ball 1 to Brady Casper. Casper singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Hitting .298 on the year. Beavers really need a couple more runs this inning. They've had runners on second and third with no one out. They've been stuck there now with 2 out. And it's 2-0. Oregon State has left 6 runners on base in this game. They're just 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Stanford 4 for 10. That's outside, 3-0. With Tanner Smith scheduled to hit next. Here's the 3-0 pitch. That's in there for strike 1. Two runs on 7 hits, 1 error for Oregon State. 8 runs, 14 hits, 1 error for Stanford. Cardinal looking to clinch this series after winning last night, 9-8. And that's a fly ball to shallow left center field. A trio of Cardinal players there. It's the left fielder Campbell to make the catch. And that's a nice bit of pitching by Dugan. Limits the damage to just 1 run. And at the end of 7.5, Stanford leads at 8-2. There's a look at the line score tonight. Number 9, Stanford on top of Oregon State, 8-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Ben Ross, Wes Clements with you here on the Pac-12 Network. And there's Garrett Forrester, who drove in the 2nd run for the Beavers in the top of the 8th, an RBI double, but the Beavers an opportunity to do a little more damage and couldn't do it. They had runners on second and third with nobody out. Nick Dugan did a great job of not allowing any further runs.
Well, he saved, Thomas Eager is, what a great job. Thomas is thinking he didn't want to get into his bullpen anymore.
That's right. Saved the bullpen for another inning. Owen Cobb fouls the bunt attempt off for strike one.
Ideally, you don't want to see that, a bunt attempt right now when you're up 8-2 and you're leading off an inning. Now, again, I'm going to bring you back a couple decades.
I was going to say, you're going old school on this. What?
Well, it's not old school. It's just different baseball.
Yeah. What's the reasoning for that?
Well, the reasoning is you're up 6 runs right there, and then you're going to bunt to get on base. It's not akin to when Kurt Schilling was throwing a no-hitter and who's the catcher for San Diego bunted.
There's a fly ball to left field. Cedillo comes in and picks it off.
I forget the catcher from San Diego where he bunted to break up his no-hitter.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember who it is. I remember when Bob Brindley, what he said after the game, though.
Yeah,
can't repeat it.
What did he say? Go ahead, man.
I'm not going to repeat it. I think he said it was like chicken blank.
Yeah, something. I don't know. But that said, there are many people on the other side of that would say, hey, you know what? It's part of the game. It's part of the game. It's baseball. It's like the unwritten rules, right?
Right.
When is there somebody's throwing a no-hitter, you want to break it up with a base hit, right? Something clean.
Right.
I understand both sides, because if I'm a third baseman and I know that my pitcher's throwing a no-no or on the corners playing first or third, somebody has an opportunity to bunt. I'm going to take it away. I'm going to make him swing the bat.
1-1 to Eddie Park. Well, what about here? Again, up 8-2.
So the thing
we've talked about the Cardinal. They've had some struggles in the bullpen. That's a grounder to short. Dernetti charges and gets him by a step. Don't you want to pad the lead? I know you're up 6 runs, but six runs is not insurmountable.
Well, let me put it this way. I'll tell you this. If you're up 8-2 and then you bunt, you get a leadoff base hit, right? I have no problem bunting that runner over to second base,
right,
to try to get that 7 run cushion, right?
Right.
It's, again, these are the
unwritten rules.
I see it on both sides, but I will tell you, there was a time in pro ball that if you do that, right?
Yeah.
What was done is that you risk maybe getting drilled the next time you hit, whether it be today or tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I am happy to see baseball moving away from that. I don't like the retaliatory hit by pitch. I understand it was a part of the game for a long time. It still sort of is. You still see it happen, but
I don't see it much at all.
And I think there's stricter punishments now for it, and I think for a good reason.
I think hitters can be very, very comfortable right now. They can do anything they want. They can flip a bat all the way into the stands if they want. They can do a dance at the dish. But I will tell you, there was a time when, and I file it under just respect for the opponent. That's all. And to all the people that say, well, just let them have a little fun, trust me when I tell you. When he hit a home run, you're having fun.
Troy pops it up, foul territory, and it's out of the reach of Forrester.
When you get a base hit to drive in a run, you're having fun. Nobody says that you have to do a dance when you get it done. Then there are some that would say, hey, expect to do well. Are you surprised that you did something well? So much that you need to do a dance, celebratory dance?
3-2 pitch. Got him looking. Nice pitch there from Tyler Mejia. And he sets the Cardinal down in order. We'll head to the 9th inning. Beavers need 6 runs to tie this game. Stanford 3 outs away from taking the first 2 games of this series, leading Oregon State 8-2. Last chance for the Beavers here in the top of the 9th. They'll have the 8-9-1 hitters coming up. Tanner Smith, Kyle Dernetti, and Micah McDowell. As they try and get something going. They had a little rally in the 8th inning. Could only get 1 run.
Well, they had an opportunity, did the Beavers, second and third, no outs.
That's right, and couldn't add anything to it.
And then Nick Dugan induced a comebacker, pop-up, and a punch-out.
Ben Ross, Wes Clements, the former All-American at Arizona. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Pac-12 Network. Series finale will be tomorrow at noon. We hope we can get it in. There's definitely some rain in the forecast.
I forgot about that.
Well, that's why Cal and USC switched to a doubleheader today.
Whoa.
They were
so then...
But
that's a new
we're
flash
toughing
here.
it out here on the farm.
Wow.
So we'll see if we can get it in.
Well, if they switch that to a double dip for today, which I believe Cal swept USC Trojans.
I think they're still in progress in game 2. Last time I had checked, Cal was in front. Cal did take the series opener as we're getting a pinch hitter here for Oregon State. It's Dallas Macias batting for Tanner Smith, and that's a foul ball, 1-1.
But if you're switching from single game tomorrow to a double dip today, and I'll tell you what's the score of that game in just a second, fans.
Nick Dugan still in for the Cardinal. 2-1.
So
I can tell you Macias on the season 1 for 8. The one hit a triple and a couple of RBIs, and he's ahead in the count here 3-1.
Well, oh geez, I see 8-7 and final and 10.
And that's ball 4. A leadoff walk.
Well, that's the last thing that Thomas Eager wanted to see, is a leadoff hitter walked up 6 runs.
Let me help you out here. Let me see if I can find this Cal USC update for game 2 as we get a visit to the
scoreboard. And I'm going to guess that this quick a trip right here is to take a ball away from Nick Dugan and say, hey, great job in the 8th inning. We're going to hand the ball over to our left-hander in the pen. There you go.
So we have a pitching change here at Klein Field. Dugan, 2 innings of work. Gave up 1 run, couple of strikeouts. Nice job in relief. And we will step aside and tell you about the new pitcher when we come back. Stanford up 8-2. Ryan Bruno, the new pitcher for Stanford, junior left-hander coming in for the 2nd straight day. Got the save in yesterday's game. Got the last 2 outs in the 9th inning for his 2nd save of the season. And he's looking to get that ERA down a little further. Been a rough start to the year for Ryan, making his 9th appearance, 8 innings of work, 13 strikeouts and 11 walks. 7.88 ERA, but again, it's a guy they're expecting big things from this year. He was 6-1 last year with a 2.72 ERA, a preseason all-conference selection, and a chance to close out another one. Not a save situation tonight, but David Esker certainly hoping to see him find his rhythm.
Well, you can point directly the problems with the Stanford pitching this year and their ERA, a team ERA of over 5, to one category: base on balls. Walks will kill you as a pitcher, and this entire staff has walked way too many, and of course Thomas Eager would be the first to tell you.
Coming into tonight's game, Stanford had walked 90 in 142 innings. So that's a little bit more than 1 every 2 innings. That is too many. Talked about the Stanford team ERA of 5.20, giving up about 6 runs a game this season. So they're obviously looking to lower that. Pitching has been solid tonight, starting with Matt Scott. He only was charged with 1 run in his 6 innings of work, and then Nick Dugan pitching the last 2 innings, and now they're hoping Nick Bruno will close it out, or Ryan Bruno rather. I don't know why I said Nick. That's not even his twin's name. His twin is Jaden Bruno, who's also in the Stanford bullpen.
Nick just left the game.
That's why.
I mean, that's all.
I'm adding a third Bruno. They're twins, not triplets. So he'll come into the game and face a pinch hitter. It was Kyle Dernetti who was scheduled to hit, but instead it will be Easton Talt. 1 for 10 on the year with an RBI. Ball one. Talt, a freshman from Everett, Washington. 5'10".
Some might be saying, well, why would you pinch hit a left-hand hitter against a left-hand pitcher? Well, there's a lot of reasons that skippers would do this. Number one, they're chasing 6 runs. Dernetti obviously is a right-hand hitter who would have been hitting right now, but you want to see what this looks like. You want to see what Talt looks like against a left-hander and want to, forget the ERA of Bruno. He's one of the best left-handed relievers in the conference. Mm-hmm. And this is growth. Just growth. That's all it is. Experience. Freshman. Left on left.
3-1 the count. So Bruno struggling to find the strike zone, his first batter. And again, you start walking guys, and this can get a lot more interesting in a hurry. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks here for the Beavers to start the 9th.
It's a real good at-bat by the freshman Talt. Didn't look overmatched at all.
And now back to the top of the order. Micah McDowell comes up with 2 on, nobody out. Beavers still need some more hitters to reach base, but this has certainly made things more interesting.
Well, now if you're Smith and Talt, the base runner, Smith at second and Talt at first, all you're trying to do right now is go station to station. What I mean by that is one base at a time.
McDowell 1 for 4 on the night. That's in there for a strike.
In order for the third base coach for the Beavers, Ryan Gibson, to send Smith at home, it would have to be a deep single in the gap. Otherwise, he's just going to hold up Smith at third on any base hit.
Cardinal looking for their 4th straight win over the Beavers. They're 52-49 against Oregon State all time. It's been a really great, evenly matched series historically. 2 great programs on the West Coast. Fly ball left center field. That might get down into the gap and all the way to the wall. Macias scores. Talt to third. It's a double for McDowell, and it's 8-3. So here come the Beavers.
It's the best game in the world, folks. I say it all the time, but the Beavers have 3 outs remaining, 2 runners in scoring position, and they're chasing just 5 runs.
And they got the right part of the order coming up. Here's the number 2 hitter, Travis Bazzana. I'll tell you what, if Oregon State can get 2 more guys to reach base, they would bring the tying run to the plate. And that's ball 1 to Bazzana. We saw it yesterday. This Beavers team came back. They were down 9-3, got within 9-8, and just came up short. And now it's 2-0 on Bazzana, and Bruno is fighting his command. Bazzana 1 for 4 tonight, doubled and scored in the 8th inning. 3-0. All of a sudden, this is becoming one that Stanford might have to sweat out at the end. Oregon State not ready to go down just yet. I would imagine we'll see a take on 3-0. It's a ball 4, a 4-pitch walk, and the bases are loaded for Mason Guerra. Still nobody out. We do have action in the Stanford bullpen. The lefty Drew Dowd up and throwing And Thomas Eager will head out to the mound for a visit with his left-hander, Ryan Bruno. So now, Wes, if Oregon State has one more hitter reach base, look, the tying run is in the on-deck circle right now.
That's all they wanted when this, speaking of the Beavers, when this inning started. I mean, again, win or lose, Mitch Cannon can, when he talks to the club after the game, this is why you play until the 27th out. We got the tying run in the on-deck circle. Just Thomas Eager, I think, is just doing some little man-to-man talk and saying, do you want to do this? You want to get it done?
I think if you're Stanford here, you really want Bruno to get through this inning.
That's good stuff right there. I mean, that's Thomas Eager. He's looking Bruno in the eye and said, hey, can you do this? Do you want it? Do you want the ball? Do you want me to go get somebody? And that was...
This is where you find out where a guy's made of, right?
Well, we know what he's made of, right? Because we saw it last year.
Right.
But this is challenging this year. It's been a challenging year
this
for
is
Bruno
adversity
so far.
that he didn't really have to face last year.
Right.
I mean, of course, at times, but overall, he didn't struggle. He was terrific. And this year, it's been a different story. Strike one to Guerra.
Now, again, I've talked about it. When you're trying to make comebacks, this is a base hit, a base hit, a base hit, a double, and you're leading. Believe it or not.
1 for 3 on the night. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
That's a real good changeup right there. And that's the first changeup we've seen from Bruno in a while. He hasn't been able to throw something off speed. He's been behind so much. And now he's ahead in the count 0-2.
Guerra homered in last night's game. 0-2 pitch. High and away. Guerra's a good hitter. 349, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs. Sophomore from Beaverton. Trying to keep this going for Oregon State. The 1-2. Fouled away. Three runs on 8 hits for Oregon State. 8 runs on 14 hits for Stanford. Each team with 1 error.
Stanford just trying to get that first out of the 9th inning. Why? Because if you get that one out, now you can get a double play and get out of this mess.
Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We mentioned it earlier. This is an Oregon State team that has the most strikeouts in the conference, but also the most walks. So they'll work counts. It's an interesting combination, but let's see how it plays out on 2-2. Swing and a miss. And there's that big first out for Bruno.
Well, it's a great changeup. Really, really good changeup. He's got tremendous changeup arm action here. Fastball arm action, changeup speed. But watch this. This is a changeup on the outside part. Watch the little leaks on the outside part. Just tremendous. Big out.
That brings up Garrett Forrester. 2 for 4 with an RBI. Takes ball 1.
Now Forrester doesn't run very well. This is when you can get that inning double play. You get it and do a ground ball.
Stanford infield at double play depth. The 1-0 pitch is high for ball 2. And there's Ruben Cedillo waiting on deck.
Well,
2 home runs last night, including a grand slam. He's hoping to come up representing the tying run. That's in there for strike 1. 2 balls and a strike to Forrester. Hitting .328 on the year. Forrester, we mentioned his patience, 17 walks this season. And he's ahead in the count, 3-1.
No, but this is going to be interesting right here. I mean, Forrester looked to me like he was taking a strike, and I don't know if that came from the bench or not. But
I think there's a good chance we see him taking here 3-1. Nope. It shows what I know. Fouls it back.
No.
Well, the only reason I mention that is you've got a guy struggling with his command, and Forrester does not represent the tying run. The man on deck does. So obviously you're just trying to get on base. But I think it was in the strike zone. So anyway, it's 3-2. Here's the payoff pitch. Another foul.
He is your 4-hitter, though.
You're absolutely right. One of the best hitters, not just on this team, but in the conference. First team all Pac-12 last year. Pac-12 tournament MVP last season as well.
Well, it'd take a lot of guts to call a changeup here, but
3-2. Ball 4 to walk in a run, and that will bring the tying run to the plate.
Well, Bruno, you don't want to be jumping around on the mound like that. I mean, the last thing Jeff Hendricks, the home plate umpire, wants to see is a pitcher jumping up and down like frustrated.
So an RBI for Forrester. It's 8-4, and here comes Ruben Cedillo representing the tying run. It's never easy in this sport, is it, Wes?
No, it's just beautiful stuff, though. I mean, again, this is why you don't leave a yard too early.
Cedillo, 2 home runs in last night's game, including a grand slam. That's on the inside corner for a strike.
And they went to the changeup with Cedillo.
Right now, that's his best pitch.
It is, but we didn't see it the last at-bat against Forrester. We saw fastballs.
He got the strikeout of Guerra on the changeup. 0-1, 0-2.
Well, when you're Oregon State right now, you know this is the guy you wanted up when this inning started, right, being the tying run. Because behind Cedillo, we're talking about Kane, Casper, Smith, not people that can leave the yard.
Here's the 0-2. Tapper to the left side. Throw to first from Nadai in time. A run comes in to score to make it 8-5. 2 away in the 9th. So the runners advance to second and third, but right now those runners don't matter. It's the man coming to the plate who again represents the tying run, and it's Mikey Kane. Bruno trying to get through this 9th inning and give the Cardinal their 2nd straight win this series. That's a strike on the inside corner. 0-1.
That's your changeup. Same pitch of the first pitch of the last hitter.
Kane 0 for 4 tonight. 313 on the season. He does have 3 home runs. The 0-1 pitch. Just outside, 1-1. Stanford trying to get to 3-2 in the Pac-12. Oregon State in danger of dropping to 1-4. Here's the 1-1. 2-1.
Dare we say the go-ahead run gets to the plate?
That would be Brady Casper, who's waiting on deck. Well, you certainly don't want to put the tying run on base, even though you have first base open. Here's the 2-1. Hit on the ground. Fielded by Haskins. Throw to first to end the game. And Stanford hangs on to win it 8-5.
Well, it got interesting, didn't it?
Sure did, just like last night.
Well, it did. And listen, Stanford, great job from Scott, their starter.
He'll
today,
get the win.
Right? And then, obviously, we saw all the heroics from Montgomery, but this Oregon State Beaver club, they stayed in this game and fought back and got the tying run to the dish.
What a game. Stanford gets the win 8-5. They've taken the first 2 of this series. Series finale tomorrow at noon. For Wes Clements and David Saunders, Ben Ross saying so long from the farm.